CarMax is putting peace of mind back in car shopping by putting you in the driver's seat to find a ride that's right for you. Because at CarMax, we believe you shouldn't just settle for a car. You should love your car. That's why every car we sell is CarMax certified quality, so you can be sure with upfront pricing that's the same for every customer. So don't settle. Find love at first drive and start shopping now at CarMax.com. CarMax, the way car buying should be.
If you like a good murder mystery story, you'll love June's Journey, a free hidden object mobile game where Detective June Parker unravels the mystery of her sister's death. Travel back to the beautifully illustrated 20s, find clues, discover hidden objects, and watch the story unfold with new chapters released weekly. Put your detective skills to the test. Download June's Journey on Android or iOS, or play online via Facebook Games.
Listening, can't you see? I'm listening to RTP, and I'm gonna tell you why I think this pod is fly. They'll watch a movie show, talking smack about romance. Then Mikey says something dumb. Todd wears 10 pairs of pants. Paige, Mikey, and Todd. Paige, Mikey, and Todd. Oh, I love you, baby. Romance in the pod. Paige, Mikey, and Todd. Paige, Mikey, and Todd. Well, I need you, baby. Romance in the pod. Woo!
Thank you for tuning in to Romancing the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
I am Mikey Randolph.
And I am Todd Schlosser. And this week, Paige, more or less, made us watch.
I browbeat Mikey into making us watch.
After we collided. Yes, I realize this was your pick, Mikey, technically.
Why did we just switch picks?
I know, I don't know.
I would have picked Little Italy.
I know,
and you
I don't
know. Whatever,
It is funny
whatever.
to me that, like, in the episode before Little Italy, you talked Paige into doing that movie instead of this. And then in the Little Italy episode, she more or less talked you into picking the movie she wanted to do.
He was not going to do it. It was just that the movie he wanted to do was not streaming.
I think I left that in the episode, honestly, so that's still in there.
That movie needs to be done. That movie needs to be done.
Mikey, I hope that we can do it one day, because I remember seeing that as a child and it was nuts. Anyway, let's talk about After We Collided, the movie we actually did.
Why did I choose this? Because this series needs to be covered. Because
This series doesn't need to be covered. It needs to be studied, Mikey.
I have outpaged Paige.
You have outmeed me. But when I fucking tell you that at the end of this movie, I was like, God damn it, all I want to do is watch the next one. I was like, I am a predictable monster. This is trash and I'm a raccoon and I hate it.
Love it.
Here's what I love about this series. The stakes are so incredibly low all the time, which I like in a movie.
But they should be high. They are dealing with like some very insane things.
She's in an abusive relationship with a person struggling with addiction.
Well, and her dad is like homeless on the streets. Like they're dealing with stuff, but it's like addressed in a very light, silly way.
Todd, way to give it away immediately.
I would like to posit that my girl has now become abusive as well in this film.
Yes, and this is the movie where we find that they both are sociopaths.
She is. I will say that she, and I will say some of it is in response, but she has become manipulative as a part of that system. I wouldn't put her on the same level of causing chaos, but sure.
Sure. I'm going to be 100% honest here. This series is doing a really good job of setting up what the cycle of abuse starts and
really
gradually
is.
turns into.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where like the other person learns really bad things as well. And I'm not victim blaming, but like sometimes two people are not good together.
Yes.
Because all they do is like manipulate and hurt each other. And there might be actual feelings under there, but you are no longer capable of showing that in a healthy way. And these two motherfuckers can't communicate.
Yeah.
They manipulate the shit out of each other.
Correct. That's correct.
Yes, it's terrible.
It's so unhealthy. But then also table all of that like mental health stuff, right?
Sure.
So entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
Can't stop watching
It's
it.
so insane. Mikey, in the first scene, more or less, well, not the first scene, But it's like when we see Tessa in the car go on her way to her internship for the first day, and she's just doing like what a normal college student would be doing, scrolling Instagram while taking an Uber to work on her laptop. She's scrolling Instagram on her laptop while driving to work. What?
Todd,
that is insane.
There are so many crazy things like that in this movie.
It's like ChatGPT wrote that. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
It is a wild choice, but I do think the wilder thing is Paige has picked up the timelines of this, and I think each one of these movies is like
a month.
Like this one is just Christmas break, I think.
This movie is 2 fucking weeks
of the same year. This is her freshman year.
So the first movie is like 2 months.
What?
And then this is 2 weeks after that 2 months.
I thought she was like a junior in college now.
She is still a first semester college kid throughout this whole film.
Oh, that's right. They even say she's 19.
Yeah, no. She's younger than that. She's 18, although the woman who wrote this was 19 at the time.
I mean, they say she's 19 in the movie.
Did she delay her college acceptance?
She may have had to for grade reasons, Paige. She's not very bright.
She may have had one of those birthdays in like May or June where they didn't know which year to put them, so they had the parents choose. I think if the girl was 19 at the time, this is just like a wish fulfillment fantasy, sort of like Twilight.
No, okay, she turns 19 in this movie. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So she's like me, because I turned 19.
That checks out.
November of my freshman year. Okay, so yeah, that checks out. Okay, so the first movie is whenever she starts college, so depending on when you start college, August, September, something like that, to late November, we completely skip Thanksgiving. It does not exist in these films. And then this one is like a week or so before Christmas to New Year's. That's it.
Yep.
This entire movie, like 4 weeks.
This entire movie is like, we had a weird week.
And within that week, she got a job offer from what is positioned as a major publishing company, because, like, spoiler, I have worked for some shit like that and they don't have money like that.
Oh, they wouldn't put an intern in a suite at a hotel on her first day? No.
I mean, they also wouldn't have a custom Mercedes Sprinter van to just like kidnap her to a conference that they had not paid for her to have a badge or anything for, that only lasts 8 hours.
I honestly thought they were just about to partake in like a Danny Ocean heist on some level. Like, it's that level of like van. It's an expensive van.
This series is like if a teenage girl wrote wish fulfillment, but like didn't know like what she thought success was supposed to look like, but then and like what a passionate relationship would look like, but doesn't have life experience to know either. And so it's like, oh, that's really unhealthy. And then that is completely wild and would never happen. And so it's like,
right.
It's like if when I wrote stories in like high school where I'm like, Super Mario Brother came out of the toilet and was like, we need your help in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Why was Super Mario Brothers in your toilet?
He's a plumber.
That checks out.
Because the pipes is how they do the trans-world travel. This has been established.
Obviously.
But because I played Super Mario 3 so well, they came and needed my help.
Oh, like Last Starfighter.
It's like the Last Starfighter, but I'm still picturing John Leguizamo, current one, as Luigi.
Hey, my name is Luigi Mario. I'm here to get your help. Yeah.
Mikey, thou art a villain.
No.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's wild. Okay, and then like it's rated R.
What? Why?
They said fuck once.
Why is it rated R?
The sex. There's a lot of sex in it. They just don't show a lot.
There is a lot of sex-like things.
Oh my God.
Yes, sure. There's sex positions that you're like, this defies how human bodies can work.
Maybe she's very tiny.
The sex scenes are honestly like laughable on some level because the way they're shot.
Some of them are.
Is
Some
like
of them
terrible.
are.
Like,
Riverdale, which we'll talk about in this episode because my man's in there, has hotter sex scenes than this film.
Does it really? Because I feel like they don't. And that's why I have not like dove in headlong into Riverdale.
First off, if you want fucking just madness, crazy, cuckoo la la show that's sort of has a similar vibe as this, Riverdale is the show you're looking for. You've got witches, you've got time travel, you've got murder, you've got high school. You've got a diner. You've got Luke Perry.
Sorry, you had me at high school, Mikey. You had me at high school.
You have Glamourge eggs or whatever it was.
There's one episode in the first season, and I'm talking about this because the nerdy guy is
he's the Sprouse.
He plays the guy with the funny hat in the Archie comics.
Jughead.
Jughead. And there's one episode where a girl has to get into a gang. She's got to do a strip in a bar, but she's a minor, and it's just so wild to me. Archie has an affair with his teacher. Archie fucks his neighbor and her friend. Riverdale's a wild show.
Welcome back to River Don't, where Mikey breaks down the do's and don'ts of Riverdale.
Todd, this is just the first season that I'm talking about.
I gotta watch fucking Riverdale. Fuck.
That's like these movies, though. You're right, because like so much happens in this movie, and it takes place over 12 days.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's a similar pace in Riverdale where like it's one episode and Archie has an affair with his teacher and then she'll be dead by the next episode and you're like, oh. And then it's like a witch pops up on the other side of town and they have to kill her and you're like, I love this.
I do want to point out, I feel very vindicated by this movie because at one point, Hardin goes to London to his mom's house, and his mother's house is nicer than any house I've ever lived in my life. It's nicer than my current house in London. That would be like £2 million. And he's like, my mom was left in squalor. Like, bitch, you're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot.
I have a small condo that I'm ashamed of in Dubai, and I just can't talk about it.
Well, and I love that they still continue to play it of like, she's all alone and poor. And I was like, and she's like, actually, I like this house and I've been seeing the guy next door and he treats me nice.
Bro, Hardin needs therapy so
bad. He's so toxic.
So bad. But he's been to therapy. They talk about it. Nothing works.
I know. And everyone in his life, except for what's-her-face, who is now enabling his abusive behavior.
The word you're looking for is his girlfriend, Tessa.
Tessa.
But they put her on a pedestal of like, he's only okay when he's with you, which is also super abusive, dangerous, and not good. Like,
no,
you are not the person to fix a person.
Yeah, but that's
like,
just his mother, like, ensuring that this toxic behavior continues.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
At that one Christmas party where he just like, I saw you do it, Dad.
Hits his dad. Wait, okay, I gotta talk about this right now. First of all, I would like to apologize because when we did the last one of these films, I did not recognize Jennifer Beals of Flashdance and L Word fame and referred to her as Fancy Kamala Harris, which was also not wrong because that is exactly what she looked like. But it is Jennifer Beals. I'm sorry for missing that. However, in this movie, they just straight up changed the parents and they're just like, nobody's going to question it. And I knew that they were going to change out Landon in the next movie because we had found that when we were talking about the first one.
Yeah.
But when they just showed up at the parents' house and it was two completely different people and they gave us no context, and I was like, who the fuck are these people? And he's like, my son, Landon. I was like, what the fuck?
I thought that shit was hilarious.
Because it was that guy that we love.
It's Peter
I
Gallagher.
know.
Yeah.
It's like someone famous who was in that movie. I'm sure he just was not on board to do any more after the first one.
Or just wasn't available. I don't,
of course he wasn't
literally
available.
came out a year later. So like, yeah, maybe he was not available.
But it does because we just so like quickly ago watched the first one.
Yeah.
It does feel like we just like saw their stand-ins act out the scene while they were setting up and we're waiting for the actual parents to show up. Does that make sense?
Right.
Because I remember what they both look like.
I don't care. It adds to it for me.
It adds to it. The dad is also a person. I've seen him in other stuff too. And I know the mom has been in other stuff too.
I didn't hate the dad. And then the stepmom was just quiet.
Yeah, she has like no lines in this one. Oh, no, she got like one line, but yeah.
My parents divorced and I hated my dad for a few years and I had a lot of angst.
Sure.
And it reminded me of that time in my life. And then now I look back and I'm just like, you could just not go to the Christmas party. Like you do not have to allow yourself to feel, if you know that you're going to lose your temper somewhere or you don't have a good enough relationship with your parents to do stuff like this, Like, it is okay to just be like, I can't go, or I don't have time.
Yeah.
Or go to therapy and be like, I don't want to hate my dad. Well, the mom says it. I've forgiven him so I can move forward without resentment.
And not hate him. Yeah.
And she's like, it's going to kill you because you were acting like a fool.
Well, and when she says the only person you're punishing is yourself, I was like, yeah, that is accurate.
Yeah.
It's 100% true. Your dad invited him to your nice Christmas party that had really nice hors d'oeuvres and free drinks for underage kids.
Yeah.
And like, you guys made a scene.
Literally. And he is like being terrible to his dad, who was just like trying really hard to be better. Like, I feel so bad for his dad after like this. But sorry, Paige, you were trying to say.
Oh, no, but I do love that his apology conversation with his dad has no dialogue. Like, they don't give us that speech that would probably be good.
It looks like an AT&T commercial from the 90s. Like, it's just a father and son chatting on the phone. Like, if you had showed up that like old AT&T logo, it would have been a commercial.
Amazing.
I mean, he could have just done it on text at this point, I think. It would have been fine.
could've.
Like, sorry, Dad, for ruining Christmas again.
That's how it'd be done today.
Yeah.
Other things I loved, everyone in their lives starting to tell them that your relationship is terrible and you guys should never see each other again. Huge red flag in your life if that starts happening to you.
I know, but then they paint those people as the villains, and I am Team Trevor.
100%. Just like couples like that do.
Like, Trevor's a bad guy for like being nice to her and respectful and like buying her a car and like.
And Trevor tells her that he did that. He doesn't wait for her to find it. He's like, I need to tell you something. I may have overstepped. And like, no, he didn't. Like, that needed to be fucking said.
Yeah.
But okay, one, this movie can't decide if Hardin's an alcoholic or not. Because in half the scenes, he's like, I don't drink. I never drink because my father was a drunk. But then whenever they need him to be out of control, he drinks.
Oh, yeah, I noticed that too, Paige.
Yeah. No one seems to be like, hey, none of this is going to get fixed unless we also fix the substance abuse problem that is evident, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, I got to ask you this because I know we're probably just about to get into talking through it scene by scene.
Of course.
And we will get there, I understand.
Yeah.
But before we do that, I have to ask a question that I think will provoke a response. Does everyone else think that Noah and Selma Blair are sleeping together?
Yes, they clearly
Yes,
are.
right?
Like, they have to already be having sex.
Right?
100%. When he is like talking about breaking hearts or whatever, it sounds
It's Selma Blair.
Right.
100%.
right.
This hits on a fantasy of this is.
I'm
What,
sorry,
Mikey?
what, Mikey?
What are you
Please
saying?
say more.
What are you
I
saying?
mean, like, did you guys not have that one friend whose mom or dad was like uber hot?
No.
I didn't have any friends with hot dads, unfortunately. I know that there's a hilarious SNL sketch where it's always like Ryan Gosling or somebody playing the dad. But no, that was not my experience. There was not a hot dad in my orbit.
I had one friend with like a real hot mom. That's a real hard way to grow up, I think, because like we told him so many bad things.
You guys were like, Stacy's mom has got it going on. You were just living the song.
Or like he would tell us his mom's coming to visit and we would all just like be in his dorm room.
Oh, wait, in college?
Oh, yeah.
You're like, let me help you with that.
Oh, your mom's coming? Oh, we're going to watch a movie at your place at 2. Is she coming at 2? Oh, that's crazy. You're like, Miss Jones, can we help you get your stuff out of your car? Now I sleep with moms and it's just dating because they're I'm old.
You motherfucker.
Now I sleep with moms and it's just dating. This is going to be a wild episode because I have other wild questions later.
I'm ready.
Yeah, like when you count down the new year, do you start at 15? Like, what was happening in that scene?
Todd, you paid so much attention. I'm so proud of you. I was just eating wings and I was like, this sucks. I'm going on.
I was just like gleefully dancing around my living room, screaming when things would happen.
I tried to watch this last night. I was like, I'm tired. I'm going to lay down, watch the movie. I'll fall asleep at some point and just finish it tomorrow morning before we record. I got to the scene where she is scrolling through Instagram on her laptop while in an Uber, which is like 2 minutes in, and I was like, I have to turn this off or I'm never going to go to sleep. Because that shot alone made me so angry. that I couldn't handle it.
I mean, man, I just dove right in. As soon as she gets the job, I was like, now she has a high-powered publishing
A
job
high-powered internship, question mark?
in this small college town. Yeah.
Well, and okay, so because behind the curtain, I got my days mixed up and realized
Yeah.
5 minutes into this movie that I was supposed to watch Dawn of the Dead instead.
Yeah.
And so I had to stop this movie and then go watch Dawn of the Dead. And I cannot tell you how painful it was to stop after seeing Hardin be seemingly homeless in the beginning of the movie, which gets thrown away immediately.
Of course.
And then seeing her scrolling on a fucking laptop.
Because they can still magically stay in the place they're squatting. Like, how long are those people going to be out of town?
They said a year, which
A
is like
year?
6 movies in this film, in this franchise.
But also, did you know that they completely changed that apartment? They either could not get the same location or something, and they just like shot it creatively to be like, it's definitely the same. Shh, it was not at all. That's a completely different place. They went from having a studio to a 1-bedroom and thought that we wouldn't fucking notice because they needed a door because his mom was going to be in town.
Paige, I need you to pause for 1 second so I can poll the hosts. Mikey, did you notice?
No.
Me either.
I didn't notice the laptop.
Paige's face was perfect.
It was driving me insane.
I didn't notice the 15 countdown. I didn't notice the laptop. I barely noticed the actor changes. I don't give a shit. I'm here for what it is. I'm just accepting this art in its pure distilled form.
God, Mikey, that is beautiful. Like, I honestly hope people are doing that with this podcast.
They have to be.
Just accepting it for what it is, just sitting back and enjoying the ride.
They changed his dad's house.
Yeah.
So that's a different location. The only location that really stays the same is her office, but it's because it's just a static photo most of the times when they show an establishing shot of it.
Yeah.
Oh, losing my mind. This movie is nuts.
Doesn't lose my. This movie hits a sweet spot for me where like I don't care, but I do care. And I don't care about details, and I do care about details. It's just like an in-between anywhere. Like Godzilla's foot could just come down at the end of the next film, and I'd be
I would
like,
love
of
it.
course.
Of course, this takes place in the Cloverfield universe.
I hate Godzilla. He ruined my mom.
He ruined my mom.
This makes 365 look sane. Like Massimo makes more sense than Hardin does. And that shouldn't be the case for anything.
Yeah.
Massimo should be the craziest thing we've ever had to try and unpack on this episode. And yet, these movies.
Pro tip to all you young fellas out there. If a girl who is very, very drunk tells you you either have to fuck me or leave,
You should leave.
You should
You
leave.
leave. Yeah, every time. Like, I'm definitely not having sex with someone who's drunk and hates me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, and the next morning, she's probably not even going to remember that she told you she would be mad, you know, and they were broken up, so just leave.
I would, yeah. No, that's how you end up in jail, honestly. Like, I'm not doing that.
So we did see a butt on this movie.
We saw his butt.
We saw his butt. Now, I do believe we're going to be on boob watch for the rest of the series, because are we ever going to see a boob?
No, I don't think we're ever going to see a boob.
Yeah, we're not.
Tragedy.
6 movies, no boobs. The rest are rated R. This film and all throughout are rated R.
This film is rated R, and it felt like almost if Hallmark had sex scenes, it would be these sex scenes.
Yes, because they're shot from like the shoulder up, or they're
Yes.
shot clothed. Yeah, it's a real strange vibe.
Yeah, they really tried to sexualize fooling around when you're 19, which is like...
Okay, it's like they shot this where both of them were wearing just bathing suits, and their cinematographer was like, shoot it like it's a Mormon.
Bubble photos.
Yeah, like the Mormon porn thing.
Well, they don't even show like them peeking.
At least they show different acts this time.
Yes, they do show different
That
acts.
is true, yes.
Yeah, they don't show anybody climax really. She kind of does, but not really. They usually cut away.
They just cut away like 30 seconds into the
They
thing.
just cut away.
I'm so glad I got to witness Mikey struggle with how to say orgasm.
And said peeking
he
instead.
settled on peeking. That was so funny to me.
Yeah, nobody ever orgasms. They just get close.
Or peaks.
Or
Nobody
peaks.
peaks. There are no twin peaks in this movie.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can peak a little bit, but like you can get like the lose control part. Then that kind of leads to the orgasm. Like it's like a fast moving plane at that point.
Right.
But they don't. They just like steadily like
Yeah. We always see them getting
Chugga,
into
chugga, chugga,
it,
chugga,
and then we
choo-choo.
cut
Yeah.
away.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, this is not the best part. Like, what are we doing?
the first 30 seconds of sex is not the hottest part of sex.
No,
yeah.
it's definitely the last 30. Well, I would say the 30 seconds before the last 30 seconds.
That's the peak, and then it's like
People's faces get a little weird. Like, yeah.
we didn't get to see any of that. We didn't get to see any noises, weird faces.
Oh, yeah, they also don't make any noise.
I don't even know if Hardin has a Hardin. You know what I'm saying?
They do, because they jerk each other off in this movie.
A lot, yeah.
And that's the hottest sex scene.
Yeah. Second base.
Fully fucking clothed.
Third base.
Third base.
I like that Mikey thought he was hitting a double, but he actually stretched it to a triple.
It's a double now in this day and age.
Oh, that's fair.
I don't know if they even talk about things with bases. Everyone's telling me they're not having any sex, and then everyone's telling us they're having the most sex. No one can decide.
I actually think studies have shown that each generation has had less sex
Yes.
than like the boomers.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because we have like so much more stuff to do now than they did. Like it would just get dark and they barely had lights at that point. So like, what else are you gonna do?
There's actually probably some truth to that. Like,
yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think you're probably right, honestly.
You either like fucked or you sat in a chair next to like a old timey lamp and read all the books.
Or both.
or you had this kind of conversation with your neighbor. Yep.
Yep.
Like that was it. It was that or have sex with your beautiful wife. What are you going to do?
Before we get into it, after we found out the real bet from the book, this film acts like the bet from the book is what actually happened.
Is what we saw in the last movie, and it's not, but they act like it, yeah.
Of course, because they have to live in the world that was created by the movie. And I will say, it's ridiculous. Like the fact that it's a dare is like so silly in the first movie.
Well, no, like the other friends are like, we dared him to fuck you. And I was like, that is not what they said at the end.
That's not what the dare was. That's not what the dare was in the previous movie. That's what the dare was in the book. That is not in the movie. They shied away from that in the last movie, but we found out because of other people in the Facebook group.
The dare in the first movie was dare her to fall in love with you or some shit like that.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah. That's the same thing.
Yeah. But the dare in the book, Todd, if you don't remember, he was dared to take her virginity and then showed his dirty sheets to his friend group. Which, did he get them to come over? Did he take them off the bed and go to a coffee shop with the sheets? I need to know.
What I want is just the small blood stain, but then a huge piss stain, and he's just like, "All right," and they're like, "Dude, you have a problem."
And then on the other side of the bed, there's just like shit streaks, and they're like, "You got to wash your sheets, man.
Dude, stop falling asleep drunk.
Either wipe or sleep with underwear on. Like you've only
Something.
got two. Yeah,
I've come to the decision that after this movie, I cannot hear Hardin say conquest anymore.
Oh yeah,
I
it's
can't do it.
fucking wild.
It's gross. Stop saying it. I hate it.
that's unfortunate because I now call all of my exes conquests because it's like the most misogynistic I think I could call them, and so we're just gonna adopt it.
I hate it.
You may remember my previous conquests. Stacy's mom.
Mrs. Jones from earlier in this episode, your college friend's mom.
Yeah, I remember.
Like, it's wild. Like, you would go up to your ex and be like, sorry, I had to go talk to her. She's a previous conquest, and I needed to tell her I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's an insane thing to say to anybody.
One, he phrases it so crazy because all he had to say is like, "I'm trying to make amends." We've established that you have a drinking problem. Just make it a step. What are we doing? They reference making amends in 12 steps, literally 1 or 2 scenes before that scene. You could have just said that.
Paige, he is an alcoholic. Hardin's an
Yes,
alcoholic.
yes.
Yelling at someone in recovery who has been sober, who has gone through the steps, that he should be doing the steps better.
Yes.
That's such an insane scene to me because like Hardin is the alcoholic. His dad is trying to do better and has tried to do the things he's being accused of not being. And then he gets punched in the face by his asshole sociopath son.
Look, all I'm going to say is that sometimes when you are dealing with people in active addiction, that kind of shit will happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to separate yourself from people who are not supportive of your sobriety. Yeah. And maybe you don't go visit them for many, many holidays and they get mad about it. And then you have to deal with them when they're old. But anyway, shit happens.
Yeah. It is insane. Not as insane as it would be to like get an Uber to work and to pop out your laptop and then connect to your phone as a hotspot so you can then go to www.instagram.com and log in and then start to search through your feed when you could just do that shit on your phone. I was so mad. I was so mad about it.
This is Todd's ambulance.
I couldn't handle it.
Todd, they're pictures. Bigger screen, you get to look at the pictures better.
No.
I might as well connect it to the TV.
No,
Oh my
I'm going to
God.
start some shit right now. Mikey, there's an ambulance in this movie, and it looks like there's room for one more gurney in it. What's up?
That's true. I'm down with that. You know how much money we'd save as a healthcare industry if we could put 2 people on it?
We're just doubling them up. Bunk beds in ambulances.
You put the dead one on top.
Obviously. Oh, fuck. We got to start talking about this actual, because we could shout about this for days.
Oh, we're going to have to get through the first 2 minutes of the movie quickly because I want to shout about those the most.
Oh, yeah. They're so fucking crazy.
I didn't hate it. It's just so insane.
Well, then after that, not much happened. Like, I don't know how the length of this episode could be 4 hours or 20 minutes. I have no idea.
Oh, well, we're already at 30 minutes, so it's not going to be 20.
Yeah, we're already at 30 minutes and we haven't even started the movie. So maybe we should just like go through the movie scene by scene because I have a lot to yell about. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we open with this movie has Hardin's voiceover, and it is similarly as inane as the last one. He says a whole lot of nothing, but he essentially wakes up in his car.
Oh, I know. You're skipping a huge
Okay,
detail
go ahead,
I have to
go
talk
ahead.
about, and that is Hardin's voiceover describes the first movie, like goes through the plot of the first movie, and then says, like an asshole, this isn't that movie. Yeah, no shit, Hardin.
We already
This is
saw
the
that
sequel to the movie. No shit. Okay, thanks, Hardin. I'm glad you're homeless. Spoiler, he's not homeless. He's just an asshole.
Spoiler, he's not homeless. This movie fakes us out for a weird reason.
I was so mad immediately. And then after they like try and make us think he's homeless for a second because he took a nap in his car and then yelled at a man who's experiencing homelessness, it cuts to her scrolling Instagram in an Uber to work on her fucking laptop. I was like, I can't sleep with this going on.
That's the opposite of homelessness.
Let me lay out what's going on with him in the car and everything.
Yes. I'm so sorry. Please.
So he's like, this isn't that story. She's not here. And we do get a chyron that says 1 month later. But spoiler, we ended the last movie in fucking November.
Yeah.
So
by 1 month later, they mean like it was November 30th
Yeah.
and now it's December 2nd. That's what they mean by a month later. They're technically right, but they're really just being an asshole like that.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But also, so we don't fully know where this movie takes place other than that we know that Seattle is close by.
Okay, I looked it up.
Did you?
The setting of this movie is Atlanta.
What?
And that is a change from the books.
Okay.
That they did that for, I think, the first movie. They live in Atlanta.
Okay.
And that's why it is not snowy there.
That
Because,
was my
Paige,
question.
I also thought it was supposed to be winter in Seattle.
Yes.
And I was losing my mind. That's why I looked it up, because I had to
Yeah.
pause it and look it up, because it drove me insane.
Yes.
But that's why it's about heat. Because, like, Atlanta at wintertime you can get like little heat waves and stuff
Yeah,
where it's
okay,
like
okay.
much more warmer than it should be seasonally.
That makes so much more sense, but they are not clear about that in the films. You have to look that up.
I did. I had to
Yeah.
look it up. And then the fact that she's moving to Seattle, because if you think it's in Seattle,
Okay, that's considerably farther. Yeah.
that's a big move than like maybe she was in Olympia and then has to move to Seattle,
Well, because that's what I kept thinking, because this, again, rips off so much Twilight and 50 Shades.
Oh, yeah.
Both stories that take place just slightly out of Seattle and then move to Seattle as part of the, like, story.
Yes.
So that's what I assumed, is that we were in, like, fucking Forks or Portland or whatever. And no.
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently, it's all the way across the fucking country. Where does her mom live?
Her mom lives, I think, in like Roswell or some shit, like a suburb of Atlanta, right?
Okay, drivable.
Yeah, like whatever.
and
But like,
crackers.
it was insane to me that I had to look that up
Yeah, no, it is not clear in the films.
at all.
Anyway, so he wakes up in his car, unseasonably warm for Christmas, with an empty bottle on the passenger side. That's how we know he's in his drunk era, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's living out that drunk era.
Yeah, he has no answered texts, and he gets out and he's just like peeing on the side of the road. But we're only seeing it from the waist up because this movie won't give us anything.
Wait, what are you into, Paige? What are you into?
I'm joking. I was just like, why are they?
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah, you're definitely joking and not testing the waters to soft launch a new kink of yours.
Like he's testing the waters on the sidewalk. No, in my notes, I just have in all caps, is he homeless now? What happened? It's only been a month.
I know. I thought the same thing. How do you go from literally squatting at your dad friend's studio apartment to being homeless in a month?
I assume he still has access to it.
I know. It's insane.
They also had dorms like a week before they moved into that apartment.
He does. He still has a room at the frat house because we go to it in this movie. He's got the extra apartment. And so at this point, I was like, is he just choosing to live in his car?
Yeah.
A car that is also an old classic car, which means it's not insulated the same. It doesn't have the same, like, you couldn't move the seats. Like, it's the worst car to be homeless in.
I think he was trying not to drive home drunk and slept in his car, but you can also get arrested for that. Don't do that.
You can get arrested for that. Yeah. I mean, and they'll drive you with like driving under the influence, even if your keys are in your pocket.
Yeah.
It's because they could say that you drove to that location and passed out.
Right.
Well, you probably did, in truth.
Yeah. And so he gets out, and then a person experiencing homelessness approaches him. We don't get a good look at him, but he is a guy that has clearly been on hard times for a while. And he just says, "Hi, I'm so sorry. Are you Hardin? I'm looking for someone." And Hardin is just like, piss off, because he's the worst.
He also is pissing. So, like, if someone who I thought was homeless, which now maybe he's not.
Yeah.
We don't know that he is.
We don't know what happened to him or what Selma Blair did to that poor man so that she could have extra time with Noah.
I do think there's something dark with the Noah plot going on after this movie.
They are definitely fucking. They're
Right?
definitely fucking. If they're not, the scenes in this movie make no fucking sense.
I mean, the scene with Selma Blair in this movie already doesn't make sense because Tessa, her daughter, is on a phone call and Selma Blair is on a FaceTime looking at her phone, yelling at it, like making eye contact with her daughter.
And she is not on FaceTime.
And that to me is also fucking insane.
I'm going to interrupt you.
It's
because
insane. Sorry, Mikey.
I will put the phone on speaker and look at it and yell at it when I am in an emotional place.
I do that, but Selma Blair is clearly on FaceTime, specifically on FaceTime.
She is holding it like this, like she is looking at it. If you're like just holding it like this, sideways next to your face, where you're not like making eye contact with the screen, that makes sense.
No, I look at the screen. I'm like, what are you talking about?
But she also, it's shot as if she's on FaceTime. It's as if we're
true.
seeing her on FaceTime, but Tessa is just on the phone, like holding the phone to her head. That it was fucking nuts. Two teams of crews did not talk to each other. It's crazy.
That is exactly what it is. That's an
Yes.
A director, B director, right? Going out, not fully understanding, and them just being like, fuck it, we don't have $5,000 to fix this.
A script supervisor, probably two different script supervisors.
Yeah. Well, they usually run different teams, right?
Yeah, they didn't. Yes,
Yeah.
two completely different teams.
Yep.
They had a coverage list. They misunderstood because one of them said phone call, the other one said FaceTime, whatever it was. And then they saw it and they were like, we just gotta have to go with it. Oh well.
This is probably why that happened, but this is speculation. We'll just say it that way.
Sure. Anyway, so we cut to Tessa in an Uber with an Uber driver who will be the same Uber driver later. They only had one Uber driver and they try to make her like a character. And I wish they had, because like she's fun as hell. But we don't get a name. We don't get anything.
Well, it makes sense now that she picks them up here and then a week later picks them up again.
Yeah.
I was like, how did she remember? I was like, oh, it's only been a week. Got it.
Yeah, exactly.
But she's like, woo, I'm ready for Christmas. You know, the heat does crazy things to people. And I was like, what heat? It's Christmas. What are we talking about?
Christmas, at this point, I thought in Seattle.
Yes!
So I was like, oh, what is it, like 45 degrees? Like, that would be a hot Christmas, I would assume. I've never lived there, so I might be wrong about that. But, like, they're way northern. Like, they have to be a much more colder temperature than Nashville would be.
Yeah.
Like, Nashville, it would be hot at, like, 60 here at Christmas, you know?
Bay Area Christmas at, 45 degrees would be unseasonably warm. And we're not even that north.
Yeah. And now I realize this is not in Seattle. But that's why I was thinking, like, where the fuck is this?
Yeah, because the movie's unclear.
Exactly. Because I really do think the first one was Seattle. I don't fully remember, but
I don't know, but she's going to Seattle. I can't. It's weird.
I don't know. And I will not revisit it unless required to.
Guys, you have to let it go. We have to just move on.
Oh, no, I will let it go. But this is what made me think to look it up because I was like, what the
There's so many things like this in this movie where you're just like, what? Where they just don't tell you enough information, but also you need that information. Anyway, she gets to work. She runs up to the one building. I guess this and her childhood home are the only two locations they were able to secure from the first movie.
And they consider themselves lucky to do so.
Clearly. So she goes inside. She's going to try and catch the elevator in what is clearly a 2-story building.
Hell yeah.
This drove me nuts every time because the interior of this building is like a high rise and the exterior is very clearly 2 stories.
Yeah.
It's like a 2-story office park that they were able to change the sign on to give it not a description of what's there, just an address.
My office has an elevator. It's only 2 stories.
Sure, of course.
I don't think that's her joke. I think her joke is that they're trying to pass off a clearly 2-story building like it's a 50-floor high-rise building. Yeah. Because like when she goes inside of it, it is a high-rise building they're shooting those scenes inside of.
Yes, because they're eating lunch and looking out the window over the city.
Yes.
Like it is a full high-rise in this tiny town.
Well, that is the Wonka Vader.
Then they should have hired Timothée Chalamet.
Oh, they're not going to afford him right now.
And instead they got a Sprouse. But yeah, so she runs for the elevator of this fake high-rise. And I think it's Dylan Sprouse. I want to be sure, though.
I think it's the one that wasn't in Riverdale.
Oh, are they twins?
They are twins. Yeah,
Twins.
It's the twins who played Adam Sandler's, at the end of the movie, adopted son in Big Daddy.
Cole Spruce is in Riverdale.
Spruce, that's his name. Cole Spruce, Paige. Spruce.
It's
Spruce.
It's Sprouse. It's definitely Sprouse.
I know what it is. I know.
I think it's Cole.
It's Dylan Sprouse. I was fucking right this whole fucking time. Okay, it's Dylan Sprouse because if you Google him, this movie does not come up. He has done other bigger projects.
I sort of wonder if that's why like we no longer get Paul, like the guy who plays Landon in other movies, if he was just like maybe offered, I don't know, another movie to go do. And he was like, yes, I'll do that other movie. Please, Jesus, get me out of this series.
I think that's why we lose everyone that ends up in this movie. Like, no kidding. Like, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I hope so, because, like, a lot of them aren't bad actors.
Yeah.
It's just a bad movie.
Yeah, it's just weird. Anyway, Dylan Sprouse.
Yes.
Who I think is cuter than Hardin, personally. Team Trevor, all the way.
Surprising me zero, because he's the Christian Grey stand-in. So, yeah, I get it, Paige.
Well, no, Hardin is kind of more of your Christian Grey stand-in, because he's the king.
He's fucking not.
Hear me out.
They both are, guys. They both are.
No, hear me out. He is the kinky dark one that is abusive. That's the Christian Grey stand-in. Trevor has Christian Grey's job, but he's not exciting enough. Christian is exciting.
It's insane to me that you just said the word kinky when referring to Hardin. What did he do at all that is kinky in this movie?
I mean, he doesn't know what he's doing, but
he got in a bed and fingered a girl. That's like level base 3.
I touched her below her belly button.
He rubbed her belly button again, which is her spot.
She loves
As
it.
this series clearly shows.
her spot. They go really into it. Here's what I'm saying. We didn't get enough of Dylan Sprouse in this movie, but if in the next movie it turns out that he's some sort of office dominatrix, I will eat my words and I will be thrilled.
I picked this series more for Paige than anything else. Well, I was like, Paige doesn't know about this, but I think this is going to be wild.
Anyway, she gets to the office building. Dylan Sprouse holds the elevator, but she doesn't realize he's going to hold the elevator. So when it pops back open, he hears her call him an asswipe. And she's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, is it your first day? Like, what is happening? I'm Trevor. Nice to meet you. And so they get off on the elevator. And it's this fun little meet cute where he's like, look, okay, I'm not actually mad. Have a good first day, whatever.
He actually is just like he blows it off. He's like, I kind of get it. You're under more pressure than normal.
He's nothing but a nice guy.
Yeah.
The entire movie.
Exactly. I like Trevor. He's a good guy.
Team Trevor.
Yeah.
Team Trevor all the way.
And Trevor's the guy she works with, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm wondering if this is going to come back and bite us in the ass like when we all read the like second Twilight book and we're like Team Jacob. Like, what's going to happen? Anyway, so she gets to her intern office and the lady who's like in charge of, I would say office manager. I don't know fully what that lady does, but she's dating the boss.
She is dating the boss. I got CCO vibes
Oh,
from
that
her.
could be CCO or COO.
That's what I meant. Sorry,
Yeah.
COO, the chief operating officer is what I meant. But yeah, like she is sort of running the business. He's out there getting money, like getting investor money. That's a very CEO kind of role. It's almost sort of business developmentally on a different level, but it's still like, let's figure out how to get more money into the company. The CCO is the person who runs that bitch. And I got that. I got that from Kimberly, honestly.
Yeah.
Like she knows the business inside and out. She has a very close relationship with the CEO, which it is romantic in this movie, seemingly like acceptably so.
Yeah.
But it seems like she actually got the job because she earned it, and then they sort of fell in love working together.
Yeah, once she started helping with his kid, he was all about it.
He doesn't seem like that bad of a guy.
They don't set him up with like a villain. They set him up like they worked together. His wife died.
Yeah.
He went through some hard shit, and they ended up getting together. That's how they set it up.
Yeah. They do, although they change his character drastically throughout the movie, because in this scene, he's like yelling and swearing at people on the phone, and she's like, we're constantly firing our interns, and he's like a problem or whatever. Moments later, he's like the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And then continues to be a super nice dude through the rest of the movie. Like, we just saw him on a bad day.
I honestly
guess.
feel like he probably needs to do a little work around like controlling his like feelings in the moment, because he flies off the handle, it seems.
Yeah.
But he does seem like he's a nice-ish guy.
Yeah.
Like when I say he flies off the handle, like he'll call somebody and yell at them on the phone. He doesn't seem violent necessarily. Although the fact that he has his son propose for him made me hate him as a person, because that was weird.
It's very weird. It's a very well choice.
Weird. Anyway, so she organizes the whole office, and then she stays in the office and reads manuscripts past midnight, which is like a no-no if you're an intern, by the way.
They're breaking the law in this scene.
Yes. So supposedly she's a paid intern, which, by the way, is not an intern. That means you just have a job.
There's paid internships.
They're referred to that way, but that's just like a job.
And the fact that they put her on company benefits, I'm like, she's an employee. Like, this is not an internship at all.
They don't even just put her on company benefits page. They like insure her vehicle for her.
Her personal vehicle.
Which is insane. I thought it was so funny though, but like, yeah, it was great.
Well, you know, he's like behind the scenes like, I am in love with the intern. Can we do this for her?
Well, and he's in finance, so he's like moving the money around, I think is what's going on.
Oh, I'm not sure that Trevor has told his boss that they're paying for her insurance.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
I think so. I think Trevor goes in there and be like, hey, remember when you had an inappropriate relationship and married the COO? I like the intern.
This is my time.
This is my IOU that I cash in right now so I can bang the new intern.
It's my
Although
turn.
they don't hook up at all, but I think they might in the future.
They don't. Yeah, no, I got the sense that finance guy was moving money around and CEO was like, okay, fine.
I mean, whether he knows or not, I do think he'd be okay with it, to Mikey's point.
Yes.
The CEO, I think, would be okay.
Yeah.
The company culture here is relationship friendly.
Yeah.
It's wild. But yeah, so she stays up, sleeps at the office after reading a bunch of manuscripts.
Which is positioned like she couldn't stop reading one of them and she just loved it.
Sure.
So she like would have read it anyway, whether she was here or at home.
I had this job in film school, by the way.
I know, you've told, yeah.
But I had it for screenplays, and this was before the unpaid interns rose up. Although they did pay me. They would pay me per script as opposed to per hour.
We should get unpaid interns. I feel like that would be helpful.
Yes, we should.
We should not. I don't want to go to jail.
I don't want to go to jail either, but it would be great to have some help.
I am willing to pay for her car insurance.
Anyway, she, in this movie, allegedly read 3 manuscripts and did coverage on them
Yeah.
in one night. And when I tell you that I was a super fast reader and I was really fast at writing coverage, and I was like lucky to do 5 a week because they were like, yeah, 5 a week, 1 a day. That was a fucking challenge.
That's reading a whole screenplay and writing a book report on that screenplay in 1 day. Like, I don't have enough ADHD medication for that.
But yes, the fact that she did 3 in 1 night, I was like, ain't enough Adderall in the world.
I know. Like, you can't do that.
You'd have to be the fastest reader alive because the report is what takes the time. Reading the scripts is fast. The report takes the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, she also organized the whole office. So he comes in the next day and sees that she has like read all these scripts and done all the coverage. And he's like, okay, so you did all of this in 1 night, but you also are recommending this one specific script. And we're about to go talk to this other guy. Come with me. And she's just like, what? Oh my God, am I fired? Like, what is happening?
And she gets in a van with the man she's never spoken to. I realize he runs the company she's interning for, but if like I had started an internship and I guess this is technically day 2.
Yeah.
I'm told to get in a van and travel to a different city.
Right.
No, I'm not doing that.
I'm doing it.
Well, and they just like, oh, we'll launder your clothes. I was like, you're not going to like stop at a Target? Because they go out shopping for her to get a dress that I love. I want that dress. But I feel like that's a dress for more of like a me kind of bitch. It doesn't really fit her in this movie.
It doesn't look great on her, and I've seen you pull off that kind of dress masterfully.
Thank you.
Yes.
But they go to the mall. They buy her that one dress. They say that they forgot to buy her underwear, which will come up later.
Unfortunately, it will. Yes.
Yeah. The fact that they didn't just also buy her other clothes, like jeans or whatever, for the next day, and instead they're waiting for them to launder her other is crazy to me.
How extravagant is it to work at this company? They get her a suite.
Right.
They buy her an evening dress to go out that night.
Right.
But they won't spend a fraction of that on her to get her like jeans, a t-shirt, some socks.
It'd be less than the per diem. And like...
Or underwear.
No, we're cutting back on underwears, Mikeys. Until that MeUndies sponsorship comes through.
That's what we're going to do. That's when we get interns, I'll tell them.
As a stand-up comedian, there have been many a time where I have had to get on a plane with less clothes and things than I needed, or drive somewhere with less than I needed.
Yeah.
Or they lose your luggage or whatever. And like, that's always terrifying for me as a plus size person because I can't guarantee that there will be clothes wherever I go. Walmart is my go-to because they almost always have my size. But for a tiny little girl like her, she could go literally anywhere. She could buy clothes at the grocery store. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
It was insane that they didn't just buy her new clothes. Anyway, they get in this like custom Sprinter van. It's basically a limo van.
Yeah.
That drives them to ? We don't know. It doesn't fully establish wherever they go, just to some conference to talk to some guy who's going to give them a bunch of money to then invest into more books, I guess.
To invest into the expansion, which is never explained, but that's what they call it. And I was like, this is insane, but
yeah.
I honestly don't give a shit. I hope they justify some reason why they needed the intern to come to all of this.
Yeah.
And no, they brought the intern to put her in a hotel suite, to sneak her into a club and get her drunk.
Yeah.
And then to come back to the hotel. Like, Trevor set all this up. You guys, it has to have been that. Like, there's no reason for her to be there at all.
Maybe we'll find that out in the next movie that he set that up. Yeah. And that's kind of a lie too. But while this is all happening, we cut back to Hardin, who just shows up at an unmarked building and hands somebody money. And I was like, oh no, drugs too? No, it's a tattoo parlor.
I know. But Paige, I thought it was drugs as well. I really did. And then when she's like, have a drink, and he's like, no, like he's sober or whatever. That dude's still drunk from the night before. But
yeah,
like,
100%.
But he's like, no, I don't drink or whatever. And she's like, it's going to hurt. And he goes, I like pain. And like,
I like the pain.
Okay, I have a tattoo in a similar place to where he got his tattoo, and I was like, that did not hurt at all. Like, it's like not it's not a part of the body that hurts.
That's the easiest place to get a tattoo.
If you're getting a tattoo in one of the pits, like, you know, like an elbow pit, or even like your armpit, or like on your neck.
Get on your ball sack, you P word.
There are sensitive parts of your body where I could see why you might want to go to that a little bit tipsy or whatever. But this is not one of them.
You should never drink before getting a tattoo. You shouldn't drink during tattoos.
It's bad for the blood, right? Like,
yes.
It makes your blood coagulate less.
Yeah.
Yes, and so it won't heal properly. Like, don't do it. It's also any tattoo place that is on the up and up will not tattoo you under the influence.
Well, they shouldn't. Yeah.
Like, that's a thing. They shouldn't, And so the fact that she's like, here's some influence, nuts. But it might explain why that's one of the worst tattoos I've seen in my entire life. That tattoo is terrible. And I can't even tell what the fuck it is. It's so weird.
Oh, you mean like all of his tattoos?
They changed movie to movie, by the way. And I have notes about the tattoos later in the shower scene that I can't wait to talk about.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, we cut back to the conference where we find out she gets a suite and that she has to go shopping. But literally, they come back from shopping. We don't get a shopping montage. That's where 365 really excels, is the amount of shopping montages.
Yeah, that's the part of 365 I watch.
I mean, it's fun. Her and her friend, her and her drunk friend. So they come back from shopping, and Elizabeth, who is the COO, is just like, hey, heads up, Vance and I be banging. Just, like, I know it's your second day, but like, here's the office gossip.
Yeah, let me go ahead and tell you the office gossip you're going to hear from somebody else almost immediately. I and the boss are together. But it seems like they are actually like in an open relationship. It seems like the office knows, like she's taking care of his kid all the time.
You mean open as in people know about it,
yes,
not open as in they're adding.
Yeah.
It's not like a sordid affair or whatever.
It's not a secret.
Yes.
It's not from couple to throuple. It's just... They're just there.
Well, the boss probably brought his son in to yell at the whole office that him and that lady are together as boyfriend, girlfriend.
It was insane that he had his son literally get down on one knee to propose.
It's called delegating. It's what good leaders do.
It's what a good chief executive of the family does, Todd.
Also, if you really want to make a splash at a party like that, secret wedding. Fuck the proposal. Secret wedding. Everyone's already there. Today is the wedding. They had a wedding cake right there.
They kind of did. Yeah, you're right. But that's not what happens at the end of this movie for Kimberly. And I'm sorry, Kimberly. Maybe one day you'll get your handsome prince. Although they do get engaged. Like, it's fine. They're on their way that way. Yeah. I'm really happy that once that child grows up and is an adult, he can marry Kimberly. Because he's the one that asked to marry Kimberly. And that's what makes it weird when you put your son on his knee to ask your girlfriend to marry you. That's weird. Like, contractually, what's going on here?
Yeah. Kimberly is like, oh, we forgot to buy you underwear. And she's like, oh, I'll just go commando. Okay, cool. And which is also, again, not that weird.
It's not.
Depending on how long your dress is. Yeah, like she makes it a big deal.
And her dress isn't like super short or anything.
No,
I honestly think they only mention it so that she can throw it and hold Hardin's face on the phone.
Yeah.
That they just want to give context for that. But also, like, at the end of that night when she's drunk, she could have said that without this context. I thought it was weird.
Yeah, it was weird. So we get a close-up of that new tattoo. It's awful. She comes downstairs in the dress. Now, I have so many notes about this as a fashion bitch who loves her some metallic dresses.
Yes.
Why are they pairing something that is the length of a midi dress with booties? That is a mini dress only situation. What are we doing?
Natalie, just so you know.
Did Natalie say the same thing?
Mikey and I did not obviously see this at all. I had no idea. Thought she looked fine. Natalie said almost exactly the same thing. She was like,
yep.
Those shoes do not go with that dress.
No.
I had a thought, which is this film like builds up this dress, and I came down and I was like, that's okay.
Yeah, I was like, so they had a Forever 21 at the mall? Got it.
Yeah, I was just like, I was expecting like a really hot black dress or something like that. Like she looked good, don't get me wrong, but like it wasn't like the she's all that going to prom moment for me.
No, and it was very weird that they put her in this specific dress. This does not seem like it was well picked for her. I want that dress though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it looks great on her either. I've seen you pull off almost exactly this look.
Yeah.
I think it was Panic Fest. It was awesome. It was majestic.
Yes.
And she just does not look as great in it. And I think that there are plenty of other dresses that her body type would look great in.
100%.
I just think that this is not the right dress for that.
The right dress for her is the red they give her at New Year's. That was a perfect dress.
Yes. Yeah.
Great job. It's not tailored correctly and it doesn't fit her, but like that's the style that like, yes, we should be going for. But yeah, they go to the club and they're just like sitting there. And the guy that they're supposed to be working with to invest with buys a giant, like, he says it's sex on the beach. It looks like a giant ass scorpion bowl. Just like huge pool of alcohol.
Yeah.
And he's like, 3 straws, everyone drink. And I was like, she's underage. It definitely seems like he's going to try and bang her because that's the kind of shit that happens at these events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think it's insane that that guy comes over and starts yelling at them in a different language.
And then reveals he speaks English.
No, I was fine with the reveal. I was not fine with the fact that at least Trevor seems to just straight up understand that other language.
Mandarin?
Is it Mandarin? I thought it might have
Mandarin.
been Korean. Oh, was it Mandarin? Okay. I couldn't tell which one it was because it's honestly like loud in the club and he's just like yelling. So it's like hard to...
I don't care. You bring me a giant drink, I'm drinking. I don't care what language you're yelling at me in.
I would never do this ever.
100% have done this. 100% will do this.
We'll do it again.
No.
Have split giant drinks with 3 people
Mikey,
before.
let's find a tiki bar in Kansas City.
100%.
Yeah. So she gets very, very drunk because a drink that big, it's really hard to understand how much you are really drinking in the moment. And so it's harder to know your limit. That's how those drinks can be dangerous.
Sure.
And she is new to drinking. So she is like super drunk. She goes out. She's dancing on the dance floor. She is like dancing with this guy. We cut to the frat house where Hardin shows up and Molly is there. And Molly went from being the villain in the last movie to potentially my favorite character in this movie because she's just an unrepentant bitch and I love her.
Yeah, I love how messy she is. I love that when she walks into the New Year's Eve party and is, I don't know, inches away from Tessa, she goes, "What the fuck?" Like right in her face. I thought that shit was so funny. I was like,
I fucking love her.
Molly, I love that you're a character in this movie, but I would hate you as a person.
But I would love watching her.
That's what I mean. I love that she's in the movie. I need more of Molly, but like, she's crazy.
But in this scene, she just walks in and it's so fun. She just goes, "Guess who hasn't had carbs in 8 weeks?
I know.
What? Hey, you want to fuck?" And I'm like, Molly! Like, Molly's back. Yeah, with great hot pink hair extensions that are definitely clip-ins.
Yeah.
I love. And she's just like, "Hardin, you want to fucking fuck?" And he's just like, "I hate you because you ruined things with Tessa." And she's just like, "Boo, that uptight bitch." And you're just like, oh, I love her.
She's the worst.
But that's why she's so fun to watch.
I mean, I'd rather the next movie just be about Molly's like rebound off of him to someone else.
Yeah. I would hope that she finds her king.
Ooh, I have a soft pitch for who her king should be. Landon.
Landon doesn't need that kind of drama in his life.
I feel like Landon would treat her right. Landon's like a good dude.
Which one's Landon?
The brother.
His stepbrother.
Oh, right.
Landon deserves a good lady.
He does.
If he's into ladies.
He does deserve better than Tessa for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Todd.
What's up?
Here's how I do dinners now.
Oh, yeah? You're going to get into it?
Yeah, I either take women out
Okay. Like on a date?
on a date,
Right.
or I warm up a Factor meal at home.
Boom! You guys didn't know this was a Factor meal this whole time. We got you. Check it out. The reason we're doing yet another Factor meal ad is because they're great.
It's delicious.
Yeah. They have like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto. They got tons of options to choose from.
Yeah, I should know because, as I said, I eat dinner 2 ways. It's mostly become Factor meals at this point. 100-to-1 ratio.
Dating life ain't going so great for Mikey.
But you know what is going great? Factor meals.
Hell yeah, Mikey.
They're helping me lose weight. They're easy to prepare. 2 minutes to warm up. Easy to use app. You need to put that in your ad copy. The app is easy to use.
You find a way to work the app into everything, and I swear to God, like they aggressively left it out.
I hope they don't get mad that I mentioned the app.
I'm sure they'll love it.
So head to factormeals.com/romancingthepod50 and use code romancingthepod50 to get 50% off. That's code romancingthepod50 at factormeals.com/romancingthepod50 to get 50% off, which is at least half.
At least.
At least.
There's something magical about unboxing. When you unbox BritBox, you uncover a world of British entertainment. Stream the UK's most brilliant series, including new and upcoming seasons of Shetland, Father Brown and Death in Paradise. Plus new originals like Payback, Irving Welsh's Crime and Archie, the story of Hollywood's greatest leading man, Cary Grant. Unbox BritBox and escape to the best of British TV. Stream with a free trial at BritBox.com.
Anyway, we cut back to the club, and Tessa is dancing with a dude who conservatively looks early 40s. I don't mean that in a bad way. Just the age difference palpable. And she's so drunk that she's imagining it's Hardin, and they make out on the dance floor, and then she just wanders away. And then she does what my favorite drunk activity was when I used to drink, which is drunk dialing people. I used to drunk text people all the time. I miss it, honestly.
I do miss that. It becomes less accessible. Like no one likes it when you get older, but I still love it.
No, yeah. If I did it now, they'd be like, do you need help?
Yeah, because no one's fun anymore. A 39-year-old can get drunk and text you at 11:30 p.m. on a Friday. Todd.
Mikey, I'm going to call in a welfare check to your house. Are you okay? Like, that sounds insane to me.
I'll just turn on my police radio and be like, yeah, I'm fine.
What up?
I do love that you actually have a police radio in your house. That's very funny.
Of course. I never texted romantic people. Like, it was never people I was dating or interested in. It was always like my sister or my friends. And I would just be like, drunk, like a million youths.
I'm more of a gambler, Paige. I'd pick one like that, like somebody, a friend, or someone I would have fun with, or like someone who would be like, oh, that's so funny. And then I'd pick a risky one.
No, who's your risky one?
A conquest. Or
No, stop saying conquest. I hate it.
No, I would look and I would be like, should I text him? I was like, he's going to think I'm crazy. And then I wouldn't. So like, I've never,
People just think I'm crazy. Because I was like, or somebody I wanted to conquistador. And
Conquistador.
Yeah, that's how you say it, Paige.
well, I'm not saying it in a Spanish accent. Conquistador.
No, I can't even for a moment. I can't. There's so many things wrong.
And I'd just be like, "What girl, what that butt do?" And then
Or just crazy emojis. Because your drunk emoji game is a whole wild minefield.
Emojis add so much to the human experience that it can't be understated.
I don't disagree, but I've never said it in those words. But yes, I agree.
This makes me want to get drunk today and text y'all, and I will.
Do it.
Mikey,
do it.
you get drunk, I'll get high, and we'll play Helldivers 2 and just see what happens.
Yeah, I have been sick like all 2024, but I'm on like steroids now, and I feel a little bit better today. But I'm still going to take it easy this afternoon, and I'm just going to make an old fashioned, I think, and then do 2 or 3, 4 drink bourbons, and then just text all y'all emojis all night, and then maybe watch the third after film.
There you go. I don't know if you know, but technically there's like 3 tiki bars in Kansas City.
Well, and there's a casino.
There is a casino.
Which is not related to what we want to do, but I
No.
also like gambling.
We did go gambling last year when we were there, and it was a lot of fun, Mikey. I had a blast with you.
I bought the PlayStation with gambling winnings.
And listen, democracy is safer because of it.
I walked to that Target after I had strep throat, and I just threw out hundreds, and I was like, give me the headphones and the PlayStation.
Here's how you knew it was with gambling winnings. As you were walking into the Target, the soundtrack on the radio was, "You can tell by the way I use my walk, I'm a woman's man."
No time to talk.
That's like always good times in a casino. That's like the song they're playing. Yeah.
You can just tell the kid was suspicious because he's like, it's 10:30 in the morning at a Target. I was like, I just got out of the doctor and I need a PlayStation. He's like, okay.
If I didn't think it was so risky, I would say pick a listener for us to drunk text from Panic Fest.
$5 tickets, whoever wins, I drunk text you tonight.
That would be really funny. I am super down to do that at Panic. That would be fucking hilarious. Okay, rules incoming. We will figure this out and announce it at a later date.
I like it. Yeah.
Anyway, I can't wait to drunk text one of you from Kansas City. Anyway, so she calls Hardin. She's like, I look hot. Which that was something I used to yell at people while I was drunk.
Whenever someone would drunk yell that at me, and that would happen a lot, like when I was like downtown Nashville, because I would be playing shows on 2nd and Broadway or whatever, you would hear that a lot.
Yeah.
And I would just always yell back, "You do!" Because you
Yes.
never lose with that. And normally that person's just like walking down the street, so they're like,
they're just
"Yeah,
excited."
thank you," and they keep walking. You know, it's not like
Yeah.
anything. Yeah.
I used to drink in West Hollywood a lot. And I remember one time bumbling my way to a burger place, and a car full of drag queens passed and just went, "Work them boots, girl!" And I was like, yeah! And they were
Honestly,
like,
best
"Bitch!"
compliment you ever got.
It was great. Anyway, so she calls Hardin, and this is literally torn from 50 Shades,
Yes.
where she calls Christian. He's like, I'm coming to get you or whatever. But I do love that at the end, she's like, I'm the commander. And he's like, what? She's like, I've been commanding all night. I'm not wearing any underwear. And I was like, this is fun.
Yeah.
I like this. Next time I go commando, I'm just going to tell people I'm the commander.
All night.
All night. Anyway, I do like that Trevor comes up and is like, I saw a loose tampon, I'm leaving. I was like, this is me at clubs now.
I mean, it was on the floor. Like, it was just on the floor. Yeah, I'm leaving.
It fell out of a person.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I would be leaving. And I'm not saying that it was Tessa's, but we know she's not wearing
She's
any
the commander.
underwear. So perhaps it was.
Perhaps, mayhaps. But she's like, I'm coming with you. I want French fries and ice cream, which was also my drunk move of somebody being like, I'm leaving. I was like, perfect, nachos. And they're like, oh, I was going to go home. Too late.
Too late. I yelled nachos. And by nacho law, you have to take me to nachos.
We now
on
have to
your
go
way
get
home.
nachos. Oh, God. Anyway, they end up back in her suite ordering room service. And she's like, why do you work in publishing? Like, what's your favorite book? And he reveals that he was once an intern and she, took this job because she likes books, but he doesn't understand fiction like that lady Mikey dated that one time.
He doesn't like fiction books. Like, I get it.
He was like, I don't read them a lot. She said, I don't understand the concept of fiction. She just said, I don't understand the benefit of that.
What do you mean the benefit of that?
I think Trevor gets it. Like, he understands that people like fiction. It's just not for him.
Fucking nerd.
Like, yeah, he's the kind of guy who's like, I read books like Freakonomics, like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And that sort of makes sense because he's like a numbers guy, probably more drawn to that sort of thing. But your date, Mikey, who like doesn't understand fiction as a concept is a different thing.
Doesn't see the use of it. And I was like, well, it builds empathy and like, a good story really gets you,
can
in where you like
explore your emotions.
Yeah.
I mean, in a childish way, she sort of explains it in this movie. Like, you can go and have 1,000 different lives over the course of these books you read. Like, and she's not wrong.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, absolutely. There's we can't get into this. We got to keep moving. This movie's weird.
Yeah, we got to power through this piece.
Because as she's giving her fiction speech, she spills wine all over Dylan Sprouse. She's like, oh no, I can clean it. Because, drunk girl's always trying to make it better.
Yeah, I have been in this situation, like not on like a work trip or anything, but like when we were on the road, like this sort of stuff happens and people make decisions that seem dumb in the moment, but like I would totally have made that decision,
Yeah. Because he takes off his shirt and pants and she's trying to clean them in the sink.
Yes.
But who should show up but Hardin, and he's fucking pissed and probably also drunk.
It is insane to me that they are no longer together.
Yeah.
And they still share each other's location with each other.
That's fucking bonkers.
I was livid.
Block him, girl. What are you doing?
And I will say this, unless they've recently updated it, like in the past 4 or 5 years, 6 years maybe, you can't tell what floor of the hotel they're on, but you can tell they're at a hotel.
Right.
That's how I learned.
Oh,
but you can't figure out what floor of the hotel they're on.
Well, I assume he just went to the front desk and asked.
And they will not tell you.
They won't, but books always forget that. Books and movies always forget that.
Yeah.
That they will not tell you. They're not supposed to tell you.
By the way, clearly, that was not Natalie. That was my previous girlfriend from San Diego, obviously.
Yeah. But this is also, Jake and I don't share locations in general. We're not sharing location people. But if I broke up with someone, that'd be the first thing I'd turn off.
Oh, yeah. You should, right?
Yeah.
I'm a location sharing person. Like, I don't care. I like it for like a safety aspect. I share my location with Natalie, and for some reason, my stepdad, Ed, and like, I just don't care to turn it off because I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me at all.
I mean, I'm not going anywhere suspicious.
Yeah.
But like, sometimes I want to just park in front of a Chipotle and quietly eat a Chipotle bowl. Like, whatever.
Yeah, but if Jake saw you doing that, he wouldn't be like, why were you at Chipotle? Like, he would be like, no, I get it. I like Chipotle too.
This is why we don't share locations, because we don't care.
I have worked with 2 different married coworkers who their husbands had set up alerts if they leave the vicinity of the office.
Okay, that is uncomfortable behavior, and I would stop sharing my location with that person, right? And I would hope Natalie would stop if I was doing that.
I feel like there's only 2 reasons to do that. 1, you're cheating and you need to know when somebody's going to be home.
Right.
Or 2, you're an abusive dickhead who's tracking everyone's move to make sure they're not cheating or whatever. Either way, it's bad. It's bad either way.
Yeah.
I had to tell both of them to leave their phones at the office to come over.
Nice. So he shows up and she's like, what the fuck? And he's like, fucking Trevor? And I'm just like, how does he know Trevor? And then because we find out that they were interns together. And there's a part of me that's like, what if he and Trevor were boyfriends? Because Trevor jokes about that of like, oh no, we were lovers. And
is it a joke or is it a painful memory positioned funnily to protect his feelings?
Exactly. And we could have gotten like a red, white, and royal blue about Trevor and Hardin, and then she becomes part of their throuple. That's way more interesting than anything else happening in this movie.
I think we need to start identifying Romancing the Podcast episodes as like before Paige watched thruple and after Paige watched thruple. Because a lot of her shit has been thruple related post seeing the show thruple.
I'm sorry. Okay, but we have established that she is romantically linked to both of them, and he jokes that they used to bang each other, and I was like, you're not going to try and get that in the mix? Come on now. What are we doing? Anyway, so Trevor is like, I'll leave. And she lets Hardin in, and I'm like, no, don't. Close the door and call the police because this is psycho-abusive behavior. Like, no, this is bad. This will potentially end in your murder at the hands of a loved one.
That loved one would be him in that situation.
Yes, the police or the hotel security or someone should be escorting him from the hotel. This is not a situation where you talk it out.
Or certainly have sex with him. Like,
God.
It's crazy to me. And if I was him, I would certainly not want to have sex with someone who is that drunk and hates me. Like, I would not do that.
Well, but you also wouldn't show up to the hotel. Like, that's
no, I would not.
Yeah.
I'd be like, stop calling me.
Yeah, Trevor leaves. Hardin comes in and she is like yelling at him, but then instantly like licking his ear and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, here's the thing. Sometimes when you get that drunk, horny, I get it. But you are absolutely right. When she said, fuck me or leave, he should have left.
Yeah.
It's not. And also don't do that to people. I mean, I know you're drunk.
Don't steal my line.
No, boo. But like, don't give someone that kind of an ultimatum that's like, hey, violate my consent because I am under the influence or leave. Like, it's a shitty thing to say to somebody, even though you will definitely probably forget it the next morning. So leave.
Well, and like the film with its bad showing of time, like she's talking clear again. Like they should have had them like go get food and then like.
Well, they had the French fries, so she seems a little more lucid, but not completely because she is.
But not much. Like it should have been like they should have had like a long talk or walk and been like, well, it's almost sunrise, and then this happened or something. Like
I'd have been way cooler with that because the passage of time would sort of allude to her being more sober in that decision. You know?
But this movie makes it very clear she was not, and that it was a mistake, and she was drunk. Like it was. And so the next morning, they wake up after it is implied having sex all over this hotel room in any number of places because they end up somewhere different than they started. And she hears her phone. It's Elizabeth telling her to meet them downstairs in 5. She's grabbing her clothes, running out. And he's like, I'm sorry, do you regret what happened last night? And she's like, yeah, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Bye. And he was like, fuck you. And she's like, well, I kissed that guy. Whatever, but we're broken up. It doesn't matter. And he's like, fine. Well, I've been fucking Molly this whole time. And she's just like, fuck you. Because like, this is the part where they both start to get a little manipulative. Him first, but then she will pull this same shit later of like, I am doing something specifically to hurt you in front of you. Yeah. That's toxic no matter. Don't do that to people. It's not good.
I do think it's funny that she takes her like hotel room neighbor's food from the night before. It looked like a dinner roll, and she like chucked like it at him. And then she walks downstairs to go to work without her shoes on.
Yeah, I assumed she had them in her hand, but we don't see them in her hand, and they're not in her bag. Maybe they're in her bag. I don't know. Anyway, so she comes downstairs and gives Trevor back his glasses, which if I was the boss and saw her do that, I'd be like, did y'all fuck last night? Like, what is happening?
I would assume that too. I would assume that what Trevor had set up in his master plan to like have sex with a new intern had been successful.
Sure.
I love that.
But instead, they go to leave, and we find out that they secured the funding they needed. We cut to Hardin shows up at Landon's house, which again, we have no idea how far away this hotel is because it was positioned as being slightly far away, at least a little bit out of town.
Yeah.
But drivable. But like Hardin seems to teleport back and forth because he goes back to Landon's house and Landon is like, I guess, already texted Tessa about it and is like, fuck you for what you did, for the way you lied to her, for showing up, for all that shit. And he's like, I never fucked Molly. I love Tessa. And he's like, do you really love her? I was like, it doesn't fucking matter. Sometimes you love people, but that's not okay to abuse them. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't think he necessarily loves Tessa at any point in this movie. I think he wants to control people, and he does try to control her a lot. And the way that comes through is by him trying to like manipulate her using the L word to do that.
I think she does the same and
I'm
learns
not saying
how to
she's
push
any
his
better at
buttons
all.
very well. And like feelings are subjective. You might have a very strong connection that you think is love with someone, but actions speak louder than words.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
If someone says they love you, but they continuously hurt you, that is not a good situation for a you.
You got to get out.
It's a me, an abusive Mario.
It's an me. I am of the belief, and I believe this very strongly, that it is possible to love people and still treat them badly. Like, to have feelings for people, to care for people deeply, and still treat them poorly. And if you are being treated poorly, love notwithstanding, you need to leave. And it is okay for those relationships to end so that that pattern of treatment ends. And it might be hard and it might make you feel worthless that someone treated you that way. That's not true. Them treating you badly is a them problem. So like, get out, get the relationship that treats you well, that does not hurt you. And it is okay to do that.
Yeah, you should do that.
Anywho, so Landon texts Tessa and is like, he didn't fuck Molly, but he said he loves you. And Tessa's just like, okay, fine, thank you. Like, thanks for updating me on his weird escapades. Meanwhile, Trevor pops in and is like, hey, happy early birthday. I made you something. It's a cost analysis for your Uber costs versus a car. And I found a car. And if you do no money down, it'll cost you this much. We're covering your insurance. And they hug and she like kisses him.
She kisses him on the mouth.
Like she hugs and kisses him. Yeah.
Which he does not really engage in because it happens really quickly. But I think he does a good job acting in this movie because it does seem like he was like, oh, shit, I missed that. Like I wanted more of that. And it happened too quick for him to realize what was happening.
Yes.
I actually think he does a great job in this scene with that.
Yeah, no, he does a great job in this movie. Team Trevor,
I think so.
all the way.
Yeah, I think he's great. And I think a lot of the actors in this movie are great. It's just a trash movie.
It's just a weird trash movie. So she gets the car, she picks up Landon, they go for a drive, and they have a conversation that I need to ask y'all questions about.
Please.
Because it's for her birthday. He gives her a birthday horoscope and tells her she shares her birthday with Stalin. Todd, you might already know what I'm about to ask. Who's the worst person that both of you share your birthdays with? I'll do mine at the end because I don't know if Mikey knows.
Do I just Google famous people
on your birthday? Yeah.
I don't know who any of these people are. I may be the worst person with my birthday.
I love that scrolling through the list, you're like, oh man, I'm the worst of these.
Todd, do you have yours?
So I know a lot of people that are born on February 12th because I'm a nerd like that. But my favorite one is Abraham Lincoln, but he's certainly not the worst person. But also like Josh Brolin is also a February 12th.
Okay.
I didn't know this one, but I'm looking at a list right now, and Charles Darwin was born on the February 12th.
Interesting. Mikey, who you got?
Like nobody.
Really? What's your birthday? I'll look this up.
May 7th.
A.D. Bryant was born the same day as you.
Yeah. That's like the most famous person.
No, and Tchaikovsky.
But no one evil.
Yeah, that's true. There isn't really anybody evil. That must be nice for you. For me, the best one is Ryan Gosling, and I share a birthday.
Oh, nice.
And the worst one is Charles Manson, and I share a birthday.
Yeah.
Sometimes your birthday twins, not great.
Sometimes your birthday twins are Gucci Mane, which I just found out also has a February 12th birthday. Yeah, there are a lot of badass Aquariuses out there, of which I'm not on this list, unfortunately. As I looked at the famous people born on February 12th, there are 15-year-old TikTok stars, but not me.
No, but Gucci Mane, though. Okay, so...
I mean, yeah, Gucci Mane is somebody, for sure.
I just thought about something. So she is born on the same day as Stalin, which means we can get an actual date for when this has taken place. So this is December 18th.
Okay.
Of the same year as the last movie. Anyway, so she goes to the old apartment to gather her things, and it looks completely different. Like they've tried to put the same furniture in it, but it is a different
Yeah, because it's not a studio page. It's a one-bedroom apartment.
It's a one bedroom now instead of a studio.
Yeah. Now, it was a pretty big studio before, but it wasn't like...
Yes.
There clearly wasn't a bedroom. The bed was in
the bed was in the
space.
living room, and you could like see the bathtub from the bed. Clearly, like, this was the thing, right? And then in this movie, it is a full separate bedroom with a full kitchen, a kitchen we never saw in the last movie, and a completely different living room layout. It is a different apartment.
Did you guys see that huge pie they had in the kitchen the whole time?
Yes.
I loved it because it's not like a pie you would eat. It's like 3.14, but it's like a whole long thing. I was like, is it like the math professor that lives here who's like on sabbatical teaching at Cambridge for a year? Like, what is happening?
Whoever the professor is in Italy, but I like to think that that's just on sale at Home Goods. That's how they found it. They were like,
oh, I mean, that's where they got it for sure. Yeah.
Anyway, she finds a birthday gift for her that he has left in the apartment, and it's Kindle product placement. Yay!
There's a lot of product placement for Victoria's Secret and Kindle in this movie.
Victoria's Secret product placement too. Anyway.
Yeah.
So she hears him come home and a woman's voice of like, oh, look at this bath. It reminds me of when you and I would take baths together, but it turns out it's his mom.
Yeah.
They have to do multiple romance tropes in the next half an hour of this movie. They do fake dating because he hasn't told his mom that they broke up. And they do the one bed trope, which results in some belly button fingering. But
that's the hand job scene, or like they're like jerking each other off, for the lack of a better term.
Well,
but like,
he starts with he got to rub her belly button. That's what really gets a woman going.
Well, because they refuse to show him going under the
it's
like,
wild. We have an R rating. Just slip your hand in.
Yeah, like I don't know why, because it's like they refuse to let him put his hand down her pants or even over her pants, and I'm like, but this is clearly what you're doing. Like, what is this weird morality here?
That's what I meant. Like, if Hallmark had to shoot a sex scene, it would be all of the sex scenes in this movie. They're just not sexy. They're just like almost silly.
Well, they stop short of, because again,
they do stop short of peaking, as Mikey would say.
They don't peak.
You know what? Hang on. We'll get to it when we get to that scene, because it is
We're
coming up.
there.
It's not very far. Yeah. But so she agrees to lie to his mom and stay an extra night. And so she and his mom get along really well because his mom is cool as shit. But they then have to go to bed in the new bedroom created in this apartment because it's the one bed trope. Which brings me to ask, would either of you bone with your parent one wall away?
Yes.
100%.
Great. Cool.
I'm surprised you said yes, Todd.
No, there's a door.
Because you won't bang with your kids one wall away.
Well, first off, I don't have kids. I would bang if I was behind a closed door that was locked. My problem is I don't want to fuck in a common space in a house if there are children present in that house. You should go to your room where you can lock the door.
I'll fuck anywhere. Good night, everyone.
Wow. Anyway, they're in bed. He starts kind of with caressing like her shoulder, her hair, and then he moves down to the belly, just like the last one. And here's the thing. If this was happening in real life, like this is like he would graze past the belly, maybe pause there for a second and then move south, right?
Yeah.
And he's already playing with like the band of her pajamas and like as if he's gonna go, not go, then go, and then they cut away as he goes, and I'm like, he lingers on that belly for so long, it's awkward. It's real creepy.
Paige, it's called foreplay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Ever heard of it?
Don't focus on the belly. It's not one of those erogenous zones.
I know.
At least
it's
not for
silly.
me.
It is like what someone who has never experienced intimate touch thinks is sexy.
Or it is things that weird fetish guys used to text me on dating apps.
I want to stick my penis in your belly button.
No, they would not say that explicitly.
Mikey?
They would text me things like, are you into belly play? And I'm like, I don't even know what that fucking is. So no. Like, no, thank you.
So what you're saying is you haven't tried it yet, Paige.
I haven't tried it, but I can't. I don't find that to be an erogenous zone for me. And so I don't think I'd be super into it.
Fully same. I don't think I'd be into it either.
No shade if you are. If that's it for you, good for you. But like, yeah, no, for me, not so much. It's a weird thing to ask somebody right out the gate.
Is that when you pretend your G.I. Joes are conquering a hill and then like your
Just
belly is
climb
the
up
hill?
it? I don't know. I'm going to Google this and probably be sorry I did.
I don't think you should Google that.
Paige, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to stop Googling belly play.
Oh, her face is not good with this.
Paige, now you have to read it.
It's just images.
Now you have to describe it.
It's just people like caressing their bellies, which is fine, but it really don't do anything for me.
I was afraid it was like something much more
I'm
sinister.
sure it is. I'm just not gonna delve more.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they jerk each other off, and it is arguably the hottest sex scene in this movie because it's the closest they get to peaking.
But it's not sexy. But it is the sexiest, I guess.
Yeah.
And they have a shower sex scene together later in the movie that's less sexy than this.
Yeah, I do like that one too.
Well, they get so close, like they create a sexy environment, and then they fumble so hard.
Yeah, they
fumble
do.
hard, and they create a dangerous environment. As someone who fell in the shower this year, like the old person I secretly am, that was a dangerous shower sex scene.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Every once in a while, my head still hurts. Anyway, so she goes home, and Noah literally like meets her at home, and he's like, yeah, hey. Also, Noah has like a weird bulge in this scene. They lingered. It was weird. Anyway.
Noah has a weird bulge in the scene because he's going to see his girlfriend, his
know.
ex-girlfriend's mother.
They're definitely fucking. Especially because he calls her Carol.
Yeah. He's like, Carol, I messed it all up, Carol.
I messed it all up, Carol. I'm so sorry. Carol, spank me later. But
it's definitely something like that.
Yeah, because she's like, what do you mean? What's going on with my dad? What are you talking about? And then Selma Blair on the phone is just like, what is wrong with you? You're still with that guy. Like, I can't believe it. And I'm like, what is that? What is this weird devolving conversation? Because they could only get her for one conversation, clearly.
Yes. She drives all the way to her mother's house to meet Noah outside her mother's house, then to not go in her mother's house, to then drive back to school. I was like, all of this should have been a conference call. Like, we don't need this. This could have been an email.
We wasted so much gas. But also, I'm like, first of all, because when he said your dad thing, I thought it was going to be like, have you told your dad about us, Carol? like, have you told Tessa's dad that we're fucking? That's what I thought it was going to be. But anyway, of course, this pushes her right back into Hardin's arms, where she gets to hang out with Hardin and his mom. And they do talk about his relationship with alcohol that this movie doesn't even have a clear concept of. But Hardin's mom is like, oh, that dude's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But she also is like, but his nightmares stopped when you came here.
They didn't, though.
But they
We
didn't.
can very clearly see that they do not. But this is just her mom gaslighting this person she thinks is like a good influence on her son into remaining in a toxic relationship with her son.
I will also say, it is not your responsibility to be the influence that improves someone else's behavior. Your experience is just as valid and necessary to you. Don't diminish your relationship experience by staying in an abusive relationship because you think you can help this person. No.
Yeah. Take a therapist home.
Mikey has clearly said many times he's not a therapist, he's a crisis counselor. So I do agree, take a therapist home.
Oh, how dare you use my own words against me?
What are we, dating?
Anyway, so he gives her a whole day to do what she wants to do. So they go ice skating. They do hot yoga. They're like grinding up on each other in the yoga class, ruining the class for everybody else.
Yeah, it's called love bombing.
Yeah. Anyway, then they get to the shower, which he tries to take wet yoga pants off. If you have ever tried to take wet yoga pants off, you know that is a Sisyphean task of Herculean proportions.
I did think that was really funny because I've taken off many yoga pants and it's way easier. But I asked Natalie, I was like, because I've never done it in the shower. I don't know. I was like, it would be way
damn near
harder, wouldn't it, to
impossible.
take off yoga pants in the shower? And she was like, oh yeah, it would be way harder because they'd be sticky or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, watch this scene. And she'd be like, yeah, it would be like that. That's fair.
This scene builds up to what could be a hot scene.
It could have been, yeah, but it's fully not.
It could be. They get all the clothes off. They're making out. That's pretty hot. But then he does the soap thing, and there's way too much soap, and that's when it gets dangerous. Because if any of that soap gets in anybody's pee holes, that'd be bad, and that's bound to happen if you're sexing. But if it gets on the floor, you could slip.
Then she drops to her knees, which you think's going to be like hot, sexy times because it goes to his ass. And you're like, oh my God, there's a butt.
Yep.
And then it's like, no, kids, we're not going to give it to you.
We're going to get interrupted, which, by the way, if you call me to babysit your kid while I'm having sex, I'm not going to babysit your kid or answer the phone. So
I wouldn't answer the phone, but I would also probably be too busy that day to babysit your child.
I wouldn't have gotten back to that phone call for a while. So, but here's what I wanted to bring up about his tattoos in this scene. They're starting to wash off in the shower.
I know, you could tell, especially the new one.
Yes.
It's like the Sharpie they like drew it with is now like washing off.
He does choke her a little bit in the shower though. And I was like, toxic relationship. He is dangerous, but also, okay.
I mean, he puts his hand around her throat. I don't think he choked at all.
He didn't
but yeah.
squeeze, but you know.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway. So they go to babysit this little kid who Hardin accidentally teaches him to say shit and fuck. That's fun.
It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I love when kids cuss in movies. I'm like, oh, it's a realistic depiction of a child because children do cuss.
They do. And so Elizabeth picks the kid up, but that means they're the last people to leave the office. And I was like, good, office sex. Finally, but it takes a long time for him to talk her into it. She's like, anyone could come in. And I was like, at midnight, girl? Like, no, you slept here before. Just do it. What are we doing?
That is true. She has slept uninterrupted in this office. There's a reasonable expectation of privacy, I'll say.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Although I'd be a hypocrite if I wasn't, because I've done this.
Right. Yeah, this is a Todd special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only one person needs to come in here, and that's me.
Mikey, you are the most selfish lover I've ever heard brag about it in my life. That's amazing. Paige, not laughing at that joke.
No, sorry, I was looking something up.
Nor should you.
No, I know. That was the joke, Paige, not that you were actually looking something up.
So he does give her a bracelet that I guess was supposed to be her Christmas gift. And she's like, well, Christmas isn't until next week. He's like, I don't follow rules because whatever.
Because I'm an edgy edgelord who like can stand the pain of getting a tattoo on my arm and will give a Christmas gift a week early. You know, a bad boy.
A bad boy.
Who grew up in a $2 million house in London.
Yes. The bracelet has a quote from Wuthering Heights, but there's a whole article on why we should stop using that quote as a romantic quote. Because the quote is, whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same. And it's Catherine and Heathcliff, but multiple problems. One, they are likely half siblings, so incest is potentially at play. But they also have a codependent, toxic, creepy relationship, and it's a weird, obsessive, platonic connection. It's bad. This is why I said fight me. They're not romantic books.
No, their relationship's so toxic. It's whatever. We went over this the first time when they were like Wuthering Heights, and I was like, oh no.
So then they start to have sex in the office, or at least they start the foreplay, and she's wearing what looks like a wrap dress, and then has to reveal that the tie on the side is fake. And
I thought
like,
that was funny.
Just put her in a real wrap dress. Like, what are we doing, costume department?
Well, okay. I felt seen in this moment because I've done that.
Have you done that?
Yes. and they were like, it's not real. It's a regular
sewn
dress.
Together. It's just, looks like, Anyway, so they fuck in an office chair, and then the camera pulls out, so we're seeing it through the window. And I do think the hottest part of this is the part you see through the window as a voyeur. But it's almost like there are people in this movie trying to make it sexy, and then they get thwarted at every...
Yeah, like their mom is over there like, no, cut away now.
Yeah, no. But we do also see his butt in the chair again. Anyway, we cut to his parents' house. They're completely different people. There's no explanation. They don't even announce themselves as parents. You just have to think, well, this is a big house. I guess maybe those are the parents. And then they call the mom, and you're like, okay, those are the parents. And his mom agrees to pop over to their house before her flight for a Christmas party.
Terrible idea.
Yeah. Terrible idea. They did not need to go.
I also love that Hardin just gets drunk on the way, I guess, because by the time we see them there, he's already drunk. He's
not drunk yet. He gets drunk there.
Okay.
He's unhappy, but he gets drunk there, and he gets very drunk very fast, which is impossible. He gets so drunk in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That he would have had to drink an entire vineyard. It's crazy. I think the mom should have gone on her own.
Me too. I don't think Hardin is in a good place to be around people right now.
Yeah.
I think he needs to seek treatment for his active addiction, and he should go to therapy because whatever happened in his youth with his dad, which his dad sort of owns, it affected Hardin in a way where he is not able to move at all past it. So he needs to work on that. I feel like his dad is a victim in all this. Tonight, I should say. Not the whole thing he caused early on in their childhood.
No, but also I think his dad has actively worked to try and mitigate his own addiction problems. He has apologized multiple times. He apologized in the last movie. He apologizes again in this movie. And also, as we covered in the last movie, it's not really his fault. Like, he can't control other people's decisions. Like, in a roundabout way, did he maybe influence them to be mad? Sure, but they assaulted a woman and child. Like, it's, and his mom tries to have that conversation with him, but he gets super drunk at the party and punches his dad. Yeah. And his mom is just like, I'm going to fucking leave. You should probably go to fucking rehab or some shit because you're going to fuck up both of your lives. And she leaves.
I think she says like therapy, not rehab. Although I would argue he needs both. But like, he needs to like fix your shit. And she's like, if you don't, it's going to drag her down too.
Yeah.
Because I think
she needs some Al-Anon too. Like,
yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So they go home. She goes for a walk. He breaks a lamp in an apartment that isn't his. And I was like, what if that lady left that lamp?
When he buys a replacement lamp and she's walking in and he goes, it's better than the last one anyway. I was like, I don't know if the homeowner feels that way. You don't live here. What is happening?
You don't live here. So he's wearing headphones. He doesn't hear her. She leaves for work and she holds the elevator for Trevor. He's the only one working after Christmas. And they have lunch and Trevor's just like, hey, it sounds like he has a lot of stuff to deal with. Maybe this isn't the best. Yeah. And she's like, no, but I'm in love with him. And he's like, I mean, that's tough because you need to at some point choose for you. And seems like it's not good. And she's just like, no, it'll work out. And I'm like, what? And she's like, well, we'll go to lunch another time. And he's like, well, we can't. I'm moving to Seattle with a new office. Yeah. But like my sister struggled with addiction. And unless he takes steps to get to a better place, this is not going to go well. And she's like, you're wrong. And I was like, ugh.
To be young and so dumb again. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, everybody gets into one of these at one point.
I mean, I did this to myself too, man. Like I made terrible decisions.
How many cycles? I mean, how many times?
I mean, a decade after she's making this decision, I was about to make a similar one. So yeah, who am I to throw stones?
I've probably done it 2 or 3 where you're like, your friends are like, she treats you like shit. And you're like, oh, yeah. Oh, no.
But I love her. And they're like, she doesn't love you. Anyway, yeah.
Right.
I also want to say it is perfectly okay for you to set a boundary that says that you cannot be in a relationship with someone if they continue in their addictive patterns.
Yes.
That's a boundary you may have to set.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we cut back to their apartment and it's all lovey-dovey and he's like writing and it's New Year's and they're not going anywhere. And he's like, well, I got invited to this party. And he's like, and she's like, well, do you want to go? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, but I don't want to leave you here. And she's like, no, I'll just go with you. I'm not scared of them. And, even if it's bad, we'll get them next year. And he's like, I like that you said next year, as if like it's a longer term of time.
They're going to have a relationship in a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they shouldn't. But
they shouldn't. But also next year is moments away. Like that's only in a few hours.
But she says like next year at New Year's Eve. So indicating it would be a year from now. But I don't think Hardin realizes that when she said, oh, if they're mean, I'll handle it. It'll be fine. That when she said that, she meant I'll beat that bitch's ass.
Yes.
Because that's what happens.
It's completely out of character, and it's the one time I respect her.
It's the only time in this movie I'm like, okay.
All right, Tessa.
When she jumps across the table.
Ugh. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was like a Vin Diesel versus The Rock in Fast and the Furious series fight between these two ladies.
Two giants enter. Here's what I will say. At this point, I clocked how much time was left in the movie. It was 30 minutes left.
It's too much. I thought the movie was about to end at this point. I'm not even joking.
I wrote in my notes, they're going to break up and she's going to go bang Trevor because I thought that's what was going to happen in 30 minutes. I was disappointed. But we get a new red dress, reminiscent of the original red dress that she wore to that party. But this one is sexier and more fun. She plays beer pong. She drinks. The amount that they depict her drinking in this movie would have me bent over a toilet vomiting hours later. And I was a heavy drinker. She does like 6 shots. Then she's drinking drinks on top of that. Then she goes back for another drink. Like she is not a large woman.
No, she's drunk. She's very drunk.
She is barf drunk for sure. But we also see Hardin sneak off with some girl, Jamie, to talk upstairs, who should show up but our favorite Molly to interrupt one of the craziest conversations ever by two of the side characters about being robots and butterflies. He's like, sometimes I think maybe I am a robot. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then Molly shows up and is like, get out of my chair. And I was like, hold on, Molly. Like, I have questions.
I think what that guy says is more insane because she says, it's like you're a robot. And he goes, who says I'm not? Like it's supposed to be like a sexy thing, he says.
I'm a sex bot.
I was like, this is some real Jace energy, and no one is addressing what happened to the 40-year-old friend.
Oh, yeah, that's
in
right.
This friend
Jace
group.
is gone.
Yeah. I think he may have gotten arrested. Like,
Yeah, maybe.
in this world.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless, Hardin shows up and he's like, okay, let's leave. Let's go. And Molly's just like, oh, fucking chicken going home. Bok, bok, bok. Like, boo. And Tess is like, no, one more drink. Let's go. Truth or dare. And they get into it. And I don't appreciate her calling Molly a whore. I feel like she should get more creative.
I would argue that she doesn't call her one. Well, she actually does later during the fight. But at this moment, she's just asking the question, Paige. She's like, Fox News. Is she a whore? We don't know. We're just going to see.
People are saying you just
people are
love all the
saying
dick.
Molly's a whore. So, like, I don't know, Molly. We're giving you the platform to acknowledge that you're being called that and address it. It's insane.
I do love that after the fight, because they call the insults, they end up fighting. And Molly stands up and is like, quit looking at me or I'll steal your boyfriend. Fuck out of here. I was like, yes, Molly.
She says that to a group of men. But yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
It was so, there is one girl in that group, but
oh,
still.
Is there? Sorry.
Yeah,
I missed that. But to me, it was a bigger flex if she was yelling that at gay men.
That's a great flex.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Molly
to
is
say.
confident and knows what she's working with and not afraid to yell at you about it.
I just want Molly's movie. I just want it.
Molly needs to meet Massimo's high school aged brother or early college brother.
Adriano.
Yes.
Massimo's brother. Adriano.
Yes.
That, oh man, toxic. But so Hardin carries her upstairs and he's like, oh my God, that was crazy. That's nuts. Because this is his old room, right? So they like lock the door.
Yeah.
Although people do try to get in to fuck later, but like they tell him to fuck off.
I mean, they just bang on the door. No one comes in. Yeah.
Yeah, no one comes in. But they literally, we have not seen him drink. She is very drunk.
Yeah.
And they still bang it out again. And I'm like, this is not great.
Which the movie does show us how long this sex takes. Because right before it cuts to them having sex, it says, it's 3 minutes to midnight. They're like establishing that it's like about to get to midnight. It cuts to them upstairs. Then they talk for a second. Then they start having sex.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to them counting down to midnight. And then it cuts back to them having just finished having sex and putting on their clothes, and you still hear people downstairs yelling, Happy New Year. So like it did not take more than 3 minutes. That's all I'm saying.
No, but also, can we talk about this position that they put them in?
Do you mean to have sex in a house room full of people? Been there, done that.
No, okay, no. So like first of all, they have a bed.
Oh yeah.
So he's sitting. She's sitting on his lap, bouncing up and down, facing away, reverse cowgirl, if you will, with him sitting up.
Right.
But she, more than once, turns all the way around to kiss him with, like, her spine shouldn't be
No,
able...
she's side straddle. He's pointed this way. She's pointed perpendicular.
Yeah. So her legs are not straddling his legs, is what Mikey is saying.
No. That's not what I'm saying. She's sitting on his lap. She is on a chair in between his legs while they're filming this and is turning too far.
Well, that is probably true. Yeah. I mean, they are not at all having sex in any way that looks real in this movie at all.
No, she fucking, the girl from The Exorcist, because she's just like all the way around. Madness, right? And again, they have a bed. There were options. It's not like The Office where sitting is probably their best option. No. There's a bed.
Bending over the table is the better option in the office. Whatever. We can talk about it later. But
I would say on the table with him in front.
Yes.
Many.
Use the desk is all I'm
Preaching
saying.
Choir, I understand. But anyway, so she goes to put her clothes back on. She leaves her phone on the bed, and Trevor texts her Happy New Year and is like, I'm so glad that we're going to spend some time in Seattle, because as they were like leaving the house, the publisher guy called and was like, hey, I want you to come to the Seattle office. We'll pay for you to transfer. We'll pay your tuition, room, and like, we will pay for you to be there because you're the best person for this job, which is wild and unrealistic and would never happen, but sure.
But if it did happen, you would take that offer.
100%.
You would do
100.
that because this CEO is an idiot and is throwing money at you, and you're going to catch all that money.
Yes, exactly. So they go downstairs and Hardin is just like, what the fucking Trevor or whatever. But he hasn't told her that he's seen the text. So she doesn't know why he's being a dick. Meanwhile, that other girl shows up and is just like, hey, glad that we did that. And he's like, well, keep it between us. And she overhears it and is like, what the fuck? And without asking for any clarification or asking to be introduced or anything like that, she just walks outside and kisses a random guy. And then Hardin just punches that random guy. And that dude is just like, what the fuck? What just happened to me?
That dude is there with his probably girlfriend, and he
Right.
was assaulted by a woman and then a man in different ways. But he wasn't into it. He wasn't trying to kiss Tessa.
No.
She kissed him, and then her boyfriend, I think, just shoves him to the ground. But still,
Yeah.
it's assault either way.
Either way, and they just scream at each other on the lawn after flaunting how great their relationship was inside. It's one of those of like, no, we're perfect, we're great. But then the second they get drunk, they're like, I hate you.
We all had this couple friend in college. Where's so-and-so and so-and-so? They're out back arguing.
They're fighting. So they're screaming at each other. And he's like, I just apologized to that lady because like she was a former conquest. I don't know why he keeps using that word.
I hate that word when he says it specifically. I think it's better when Mikey says it, honestly.
Yeah.
I hope to get some new conquests this month.
Heck yeah, Mikey. I'm happy you're putting yourself back out there.
Yeah. Now remember, scream at them on the lawn.
I'm feeling that it is time for my manifest destiny.
Manifest dictiony, Mikey.
I don't like any of that. I didn't like it when it was Conquistador. Actually, no, that Conquistador was fun. Anyway, so he's like, I just apologized to her. And she's like, well, why didn't you say something? He's like, you literally ran away and kissed a random guy. And he's like, this has to be over because what the fuck? She gets in an Uber and leaves. He falls asleep outside the frat house on the couch, which never fall asleep on those outside couches. They are a breeding ground for gross.
Yeah.
So she goes home. He wakes up. That same girl is like, I've got a car charger. I'll drive you or whatever. So he like plugs the phone in. They're driving. Tessa gets up, realizes he hasn't come home, gets in her car to go look for him and throws her phone in the back. He calls. She reaches back to try and answer it. Now, she had the right of way. Someone blew through the intersection.
Oh, yeah. She had a green light. It's insane to me that they try and blame this on Hardin. Like, just because he was like calling her, I guess.
Yes,
and we do see
it's
her like
crazy.
reaching for that phone. But then when the car behind her honks, she sits back up, gets control of the vehicle and drives through a green light. I'm not saying she did anything wrong. She didn't. She did everything
She
right.
didn't.
It was the car that blew through the red light that hit her that caused this accident. That person is not Hardin. We know it's not Hardin.
We know it's not. But this is also like, my dad is the reason those guys beat my mom up. And it's like,
Oh, Hardin's a fucking moron when it comes to all that shit. But this is not his fault.
But this
at
is
all.
Landon and Trevor are both like, this is your fault.
When Landon shows up and like pushes Hardin to the ground yelling at him about this, I'm like, you have better reasons to do this to him other than this?
Yeah.
Because he had nothing to do with it.
Well, and again, Hardin passes and sees the car accident and chases the ambulance down.
Yeah.
And there was definitely room for him to lie on a second gurney in there. So like, bummer. Anyway, so Trevor has her phone at the hospital and he answers it. And Hardin is just like, Trevor, oh my God, is she okay? And he's like, yeah, but you shouldn't talk to her. I'm not going to let you talk to her right now. I feel like you've got shit to work on. I hope you do. But I feel like for her benefit, you should do it apart. Which again, maybe is overstepping into their relationship. But I call this being a concerned friend.
Yeah. Well, like multiple people have this talk with them like, hey, y'all just end up fighting all the time and like doing crazy shit to each other. Maybe this is not great.
Yeah, it's not good. But she comes home from the hospital and there's an empty bottle on the floor and a letter for her. And the letter is basically him saying like, I got to go work on my shit. So we got to break up. And she freaks out and texts him a million times and calls him a million times because, again, it's a systems issue. She needs some help as well.
Yeah.
Because she needs to get out of this relationship also, which is also not easy. But he has a nightmare about her. She's going to a party on Sunday to celebrate that they're all moving to Seattle. And his mom gives him terrible advice because Hardin's mom is like, you should fly back to America and go to that party. No, he should not. Like, no, he should stay and work on his shit.
Yeah, I would argue the best place for him to be is around family who loves him in a supportive environment, and then get him some help, whether it be rehab and therapy or just therapy.
No, you need to go back and confront your father immediately.
Oh my God. And here's the thing, because I know there's a lot of people who like, they break up because it's like, I need to work on me. And the person they break up with is like, why couldn't we work on this together? And I'm like, it's probably bad for both of you to be around while this has happened. Like, sometimes people need to go away and work on their shit. I mean, it depends, but yeah.
If your stuff isn't affecting the relationship, or you're able to, like, you're not abusive to that person, or you're not becoming manipulative.
Yeah.
Like, if it's like your relationship's decently healthy, but you don't feel healthy as a person, and you want a supportive partner, I can see that. But
that's
But if your issues cause like toxicity to like seep into your relationship, and you're abusive and you're treating them like shit, you should probably end that. Work on that shit.
Right. But there's people with healthy relationships, when they start going into that stuff, just can't, they don't have the emotional bandwidth to have a partner during that time. And like, that's okay too.
It happens.
Yeah.
Communication is so key in relationships, and most people are just terrible at it.
Yeah.
And he is dealing with substance abuse.
Yeah. And his dad, I mean, there's a genetic predisposition. Yeah.
Yeah. And depending on your partner, you may need to separate from that partner. I mean, it is wild to me every time I meet people who are like, yeah, my partner stopped drinking, but like, I'm not gonna. And I'm like, I get that you technically don't have to if you don't have a problem, but like, that's a small thing, I feel like, to be supportive of another person.
100%. My extended family is so toxic because, you know, addiction runs in the families or whatever.
Of course.
And my brother has been sober and clean for 5 years, but my uncle, they did a intervention for my uncle, and all of my grandparents were substance abuse addicts, and and so they did this intervention for my uncle, and like my mom went, and I was like, I'm not going. I was like, this, because at this point I was just like, this family is so not great for this kind of stuff, and they're in that, and of course the counselor's like, well, like turning to his wife, will you stop drinking so he can stay clean? And she's like, I'm not gonna do that. And then my grandmother did the same thing. And like, I'm like,
so
y'all, you can't just cut it down. Like, you have to like make a good environment.
Well, and here's the thing. It's like, what is more important to you?
To them, to all of them, addiction ruined it, because he later died of an overdose in my grandmother's house. So like, it was just, but like, I can look back, like look at, and I'm just like you guys, like addiction is so serious and people just don't take it like that.
They don't.
Yeah. Anyway. So his mom gives him terrible advice. Stop working on yourself, fly back to America, into a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
We go to the party. Trevor is like, hey, I need to tell you about what happened. She doesn't find it out. He tells her of his own volition because he's a better communicator. And he's like, hey, I answered your phone. I told him to stay away because of what happened. And I feel like that was over the line. But I do think you should really consider how this relationship is affecting you. And she is like upset, and she doesn't say anything in the moment, but she's upset. And he's like, I have other things I want to talk about, but I need to take a second. Which, did you either of you watch the post-credit scene?
No, I didn't realize there was a post-credit scene.
I'll tell you guys about it when we get there. Sure.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So he leaves. But while he leaves, Hardin shows up. She drops the glass. He goes to leave. Her boss tells Hardin where she went because the boss and Hardin are like family friends.
Yeah.
And he goes and sees an Uber leave. He thinks it's her, but no, she comes out and she's like, you're never going to leave me alone, are you? Which again, fucking terrifying. This is a terrifying abusive relationship.
If someone said that to me, I'd be like, no, I will totally leave you. If you don't want to see me, I'm happy to leave you alone forever. Yeah, no, I'm here because In this
I'm
case,
never going to leave you alone.
yeah, like that context is so dark and scary,
it's
honestly.
really scary. But so again, at this point, less than 6 months. They have been dating for less than 6 months.
Good God, I forgot. Oh my
Yep.
God, this is that
Yes.
same year.
Is that same? In fact, it's the same semester. They have not even started the next semester yet.
I can't believe it took Noah months, like weeks probably, to move in on her mom.
I know.
can't believe.
I know. Anyway, the Uber shows up. They get in. It's the same Uber driver from the beginning of the movie.
Yes. Who's having the same problem with heat. And I'm not saying
It's heat.
there's a time period in a woman's life where that becomes an issue for a short while.
Or
But
some of us
perhaps-
just don't like the heat.
That's true.
I don't like the heat. I'm a winter bitch.
I don't like the heat either. That's why I layer.
I am a cold, spooky autumn winter bitch. Anyway, he goes and gets a new tattoo, which is off center, clearly fake.
Paige.
And oh God.
Paige, I paused it, stood up, and like pointed out to Natalie why
Yes.
even the placement of the tattoo is
bonkers.
terrible. It is like from his left shoulder blade to like 3/4 of the way across his back.
It's like he left justified a tattoo. Like if his back was a document, he
Yes.
left justified the tattoo.
Yeah.
And back tattoos are painful regardless, right? Like they just are. There's a lot of bones back there. There's a lot of, like it hurts. To then just do one line of text that is also not level across from one shoulder blade across the spine to part away through the... You just ensured it might be the most painful version of this ever? Like, why did we do this?
I think she chose it for that.
Oh, good night.
It's honestly like in a weird part of your back for like text.
Yes.
If it's not already filled with tattoos. It's
Yeah.
so bad. I was offended as someone with a tattoo
Yes.
that someone would do this to themselves voluntarily. It was that bad.
Every tattoo artist I know would try to talk someone out of this. Anyway, but as they're leaving, because apparently they did this the same day. They literally left that party and went to the tattoo place immediately.
Yeah.
And then a man experiencing homelessness walks up to them and they're like, oh my God, and of course, Hardin doesn't recognize him from literally a few days before.
He was wearing the exact same outfit too. Like it's the same dude. They shot this the same day they shot that first interaction with him. Like,
Well, and he's like, Tessa, and Tessa's like, Dad? And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
fade to black.
Fade to black.
And that's the movie.
Okay, but let's talk about the post-credit scene. The post-credit
gotta know.
scene is Trevor practicing how he's going to tell her he has feelings about her in the bathroom.
I love that.
Which one's Trevor?
Oh my God,
what?
Mikey.
The Office one. What the fuck? And it is played for laughs, and it is kind of goofy, and he's hamming it up, but it's very fun. But you're just like, no, what could have been?
And maybe will be in the future, but I fear that it will. All of these movies will just be us watching the two worst people in the movie character list, like falling in love and being in love in this toxic, horrible, abusive relationship.
Yep.
But having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what did you guys think about After We Collided?
I mean, it's trash, and I'm a raccoon.
Yeah.
So I want to watch all of them. It's so bad.
We are absolutely going to watch all of them. It is a terrible movie, though. This one was harder to sit through than the last one,
Yeah.
but it was like aggressively not sexy. It was like, I really hate Hardin a lot. I think he's a trash human being, but I also can't wait to see where it goes. So it is what it is.
I like this one better than the first one. I'm excited about the series as even more.
Okay.
To see Tessa's transformation from like a well-adjusted child to a completely emotionally toxic person because of the person she dated, and then also what's his face just getting worse and worse as well, and these people just treating each other so bad is a journey I'm here for. Hashtag she can fix him.
Well, we can't wait to see where it goes. But Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
I do.
Well, here it is with your fun facts. Hardin, fun facts.
After we did the last movie, a handful of people reached out to tell me that Harry Styles has a restraining order against the author of these books. Now,
What?
No, hold
is that
on.
true?
No, it is not true. It is not true. I did a lot
dare
of
you.
investigation into
How
this.
dare you.
The only stories about the restraining order seem to come from TikTok. I was not able to find any credible news sources that said that Anna Todd was the recipient of a restraining order from Harry Styles. However, another woman at this time was. But there you go.
God, anything can catch fire on TikTok, apparently.
Yeah. Now, moving from that, Anna Todd confirmed on her social media that she wrote the script for this movie and promised that the film sequels would stay truer to the books after there were changes made to the first one. And she confirmed that this film would be rated R. However, in the additional sequels, they are rated R, but she is maybe not as involved.
I actually do wonder if they get better.
I mean, maybe. This film was directed by Roger Kumble. Roger Kumble also directed Cruel Intentions, which we did
On this podcast, yeah.
also at Selma Blair. Also, real troubling. I remember that one being like, oh no, this is dark.
It is.
Now, in the very beginning of the nightclub scene, you see a woman lean over a booth and ask another woman next to her, "What books have you written?" That is Anna Todd, the writer of these books.
Oh, no shit it is. Because she says, oh, this and that. She says that line of dialogue in this movie.
This
and I
that.
was like, oh, of course that's the author of this movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Peter Gallagher is replaced by Rob Estes because Rob Estes has done other things. Like, he's not like just a stranger.
Yeah, and Peter Gallagher saw the first movie, so he was like, oh, I've got to get out of this.
Yeah. And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts page. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So what do you think the production budget was for After We Collided? And this is 2020.
I think it was just a case of wine coolers and like a laptop that had Final Draft on it. I don't know, probably like $5 million.
Mikey, what do you think?
4 million?
Actually, it was $14 million.
Okay.
Which if you adjust for inflation is like $16.7 million today. That is an inexplicable budget for this movie in my mind. But this movie did come out on September 18th, 2020. Do you guys remember what it was like at the movies in September of 2020?
I do
Yeah.
indeed.
It was very quiet. So this was 6th in the box office that week. It was beat by Tenet was number 1. The New Mutants was number 2. Infidel was number 3. Unhinged was number 4. And number 5 was The Broken Hearts Gallery. And of course, this movie was number 6. What do you think it made in the box office in September in its first week?
100,000?
Yeah, I was like, probably nothing, like 500,000 maybe.
It made $304,000.
Right in the middle.
It was only in 302 theaters, so it had a find per theater average. They did start to release it into more theaters in its second week and in its third week. But it did not do any better in the box office. And it was never again in the top 10. It was once in the top 15. And then it fell out of the box office. So what do you think it made domestically at the box office?
500,000?
Yeah, that's about
Okay.
where I'm at too.
So it made $2.3 million.
Okay,
Jesus,
all right.
But
okay.
it did make $40.9 million internationally for a total of $43.3 million. And if you adjust that to today, that's $51.9 million. So like the only reason they're making these movies is because they play well overseas.
Yeah.
They're not
Okay.
making them for the U.S. audience.
Got it.
Yeah. Anyway, that's your box office. So Mikey, do you want to hit us with that romance scale?
Yeah, it's a romance scale of 1 to 4. How romantic we found the film today. Paige.
Romantic, I'm gonna go 1.
Todd.
It's a 1 for me as well.
I'm going to round this out also with a 1. So that's our romance scale.
All right. So this week, I guess Mikey technically made us watch After We Collided. So next week, I'm going to take us back to the year 2000, and I'm going to make you guys watch a movie featuring Freddie Prinze Jr. and Julia Stiles called Down to You.
All right. It's been requested in the group a bunch.
It has. That's the reason I'm picking it. I actually haven't seen it. But
Yep.
your homework is to watch Down to You and then a report back for that episode next week. So Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
I do.
Well, what is that review? I'm not used to you having one. Nice.
Shannon.
Shannon, what do they have to say?
Pick me, choose me, read me. Title review.
I love that Seal song.
They say this is the best trio in podcasting. They keep me lolling at my desk all day to the point my coworkers think I'm weird. Listen once and you'll be hooked. Also, I'm not single, but Mikey can get it anyway. Love to hear it. If you want to be one of my next conquests, send me a message on my socials.
At M. Randolph 24.
Via me your BMs.
Oh, what? Gross.
Oh, no.
No one listens this far into the podcast.
Everyone listens this far into the podcast. And Mikey, thank you so much for reading that review from Shannon. I'm going to read a comment that someone left on our Romeo and Juliet episode that just came out earlier in the week. And that comment is from Buffy, and they say, "A plague on the house of Randolph for not groveling at the perfection that is Romeo plus Juliet." And Buffy, I appreciate that comment, so thank you very much. And if you want to have Mikey read your 5-star review or me read your Spotify comment, leave us one of those things and we'll read it for you. So, yeah, guys, if you like this power throuple that we have here on this podcast, make sure to check out our other podcast, The Horror Virgin. And that is the only other podcast that Mikey and I are on. But Paige gets around, and she is on 2 other podcasts, Black Card Rehab and Cult Podcast. So, guys, definitely check out those because they're amazing. If you want to follow us on social, we are at Romancing the Pod Show.
Yes.
On Instagram, and we are at something else on Twitter who I just have never taken the time to learn
It's just Romancing Pod Show because they have a character limit and it's show SHO like Showtime.
So guys, check that out as well. And if you want to follow us all individually, Paige is at Rampage Wesley everywhere, including TikTok, except for Twitter, where she is at Paige Wesley. Mikey is at M. Randolph24, and I am at Todd J. Awesome everywhere. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
And that's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm Todd.
And you complete us.
To completion.
Oh, yeah.
Nailed it.
I'm going to conquest you.
Bye. Hardin's going to end up in jail, nerds.